This woman gave birth to twins but could not recognize her own children because the two children were so similar they could not be distinguished by the naked eye. However, the husband was still eager to name the two children. As time passed, the two twins gradually grew up. Unexpectedly, their personalities were completely opposite. Since childhood, the sister Ha-jae had a gentle personality and was known as a math genius, while the younger sister Ha-jin had a tomboyish personality. Not only that, Ha-jin was also very poor at studying and was only passionate about strong sports. Ha-jin hated doing math and her sister hated taking medicine. That's why the two of them switched identities to take turns doing those things. Everything went smoothly until one day, the two were discovered by their mother, and so she cut Ha-jin's younger sister's hair short to easily distinguish them. From that moment on, the lives of the two began to change. Ha-jae became an excellent student at school, while Ha-jin followed a different path with her own talent. Every time the bell rang, Ha-jin would run to the cafeteria as fast as she could. She was always the first to arrive and left the others far behind. The gym teacher discovered Ha-jin's talent and put Ha-jin on the school's track and field team. After only 3 months of training, Ha-jin had won countless awards. Ha-jin's bedroom was now filled with gold medals and trophies. That day, Ha-jin had an extremely important running competition. Whether she would become a national athlete or not, and whether Ha-jin would receive a full university scholarship, all depended on this competition. Ha-jin easily left the other contestants behind with her natural talent, but then Ha-jin could not reach the finish line because of an unexpected fall. That fall completely changed her fate for the rest of her life. From a promising athlete, Ha-jin became a janitor at the age of 30. She was even only a part-time janitor thanks to her mother's help. Despite that, Ha-jin always loved life in any situation. Her sister Ha-jae had a stable job in the city. Ha-jae was an office worker, a dream job for many people. But Ha-jae was not like that because she still had other hidden corners. Ha-jin's mother was also working at the elementary school cafeteria. Her colleagues thought that Mrs. Kyung-soon had raised a talented daughter who worked in the city, but she never showed it off. Mrs. Kyung-soon thought that was nothing to brag about. She also denied that she was a good mother. She thought that she only gave birth to her child and that Ha-jae grew up on her own. Kyung-soon never told anyone about her second child. She felt guilty for not being able to give Ha-jin a better future. At that moment, she saw Ha-jin waiting outside. Kyung-soon blamed Ha-jin for not texting her mother and coming all the way here. Ha-jin also complained that his mother lied and said that she only had one daughter. Was Ha-jin redundant? She told Ha-jin to greet the vice principal because today was her last day as a janitor there. At that moment, the vice principal was also there and wanted to talk to Ha-jin. The vice principal talked about Ha-jin applying to be a janitor at the education office, but they did not accept Ha-jin because there were too many competing candidates and they all had bachelor's degrees. However, the vice principal promised to find a way to keep Ha-jin's current job here. Hearing this, Ha-jin immediately refused. She knew that the person who worked before her was on sick leave, so she didn't want to take someone else's job. The vice principal asked Ha-jin what Ha-jin was going to do. Ha-jin replied that the harvest season was coming up, so there would be a lot of work. Hearing that, the vice principal immediately said, "Ha-jin doesn't have a dream?" The vice principal also told Ha-jin to learn from her sister. Hearing that, Ha-jin covered her ears because she didn't want anyone to compare her to her sister. So the vice principal used her son Ho-soo as an example. The vice principal said that when Ho-soo was 20 years old, he tried hard to study well in law school. And now that the vice principal's son is successful, the vice principal hopes that Ha-jin will never give up on his dream and always strive. Ha-jin works a part-time job at a supermarket near her house. Through this uncle, she knew that Changha Farm was recruiting strawberry growers. Hearing that they were paying 200,000 won, Ha-jin's eyes lit up. She immediately wrote a job application. Ha-jin couldn't believe that farming also required writing a job application. She didn't know what to write because Ha-jin had no qualifications and no talent. When she returned home, she told her mother that the vice principal wanted to keep her, but Ha-jin refused. Hearing that, Kyung-soon scolded Ha-jin. When the vice principal gave her an opportunity, her daughter didn't know how to take it, but Ha-jin didn't want to take away the job of her predecessor. She told her mother that she had applied to Changha Farm. Hearing that Ha-jin was going to work in farming made her mother even more angry. Mrs. Kyung-soon scolded Ha-jin for how long she planned to live like this. Wouldn't she be ashamed to see her sister? And Mrs. Kyung-soon also emphasized that she wouldn't be able to support Ha-jin forever. When she was gone, Ha-jin would have to depend on Ha-jin's sister. Ha-jin immediately affirmed that her mother did not need to worry because she would rather die than be a burden to her sister. Right after that, her mother told Ha-jin to bring cake to the vice principal because today was her husband's death anniversary. After giving the cake to the vice principal, Ha-jin saw a photo of herself and her son. The vice principal said that she saw the photo while cleaning and framed it. The vice principal did not know if it was Ha-jin or Ha-jae, so she asked, but Ha-jin said that she did not know either, so she tried to guess. At that moment, the vice principal received a text message from her son. She told Ha-jin to stay for for dinner because Hosu was coming home. Ha-jin was surprised to know that Hosu was coming home, so she refused and ran straight home. But when she went outside, Ha-jin ran into Hosu right in front of the gate. This made her extremely confused. Seeing Hosu wearing a very strange tie, Ha-jin asked if it seemed like Hosu changed his style according to his mother's wishes. Hosu quickly explained that Ha-jin liked it like this. She suddenly remembered that the vice principal had come over a few days ago to ask her for advice on Hosu's tie, and now he was wearing the style she had chosen. While she was about to leave, Hosu asked Ha-jin about his sister Ha-jae. Ha-jin told Hosu to ask her himself because they both lived in Seoul. Ha-jin felt annoyed when Hosu didn't mention anything about her, but instead asked about Ha-jae's sister. Many years ago, Hosu's family moved next to Ha-jin's house. Seeing a friend about her age, Ha-jin took the initiative to greet him, but Hosu ignored him without responding. It was a coincidence that Hosu had just transferred to the same school and was in Ha-jin's class. For some reason, Hosu distanced himself from everyone. Some people think that he must have caused something to be forced to transfer schools, but others deny it because there is information that Hosu is a very good student. Sitting at the table next to Ha-jin, she is really curious about this strange friend. She intentionally threw her pen on the floor and asked Hosu to pick it up for her, but once again, he ignored her. This made Ha-jin extremely angry because she didn't understand why. Back to reality, Ha-jin was still angry when Hosu didn't bother to ask about her after many years of seeing each other. On top of that, he only asked about Ha-jae's sister. She wondered if the two of them were having feelings for each other. At that moment, her mother walked in and asked Ha-jin if she had called her sister. Didn't Ha-jae say she was going to visit grandma? Ha-jin angrily said that she wasn't her sister's spokesperson. Why did everyone ask her? Because she and Ha-jae's sister weren't as close as before. Even though she said that, Ha-jin still called her sister, but Ha-jae didn't pick up the phone. Ha-jae's life was not as smooth as everyone thought. Work pressure was always around her. Her superiors oppressed her, and her colleagues were scrutinizing her, making Ha-jae feel suffocated. The next day, the owner of Chanha Farm received Ha-jin's application. A young girl with no qualifications applied for farming, which made Se-jin really curious. This uncle revealed that it was all because of her grandmother. 10 years ago, Ha-jin's grandmother suddenly had a stroke, so she refused to go to university or apply for a job. Instead, Ha-jin took care of her grandmother for many years. She only worked part-time so that she could conveniently go to the hospital when her grandmother needed her. Hearing this, Se-jin was really touched and wanted to hire Ha-jin. On this side, Ha-jin still takes care of her grandmother until now. Years of being in bed have also made her grandmother weaker. Her condition is really unstable, and recently she has also had difficulty speaking. Her grandmother saw her granddaughter throwing away her future for her, which made her very heartbroken. She advised Ha-jin not to come anymore because she didn't want to see Ha-jin. She always said that every time she met Ha-jin, but Ha-jin just ignored it and still came to take care of her. Right after that, Ha-jin called her sister. This time, Ha-jae picked up the phone. Ha-jin angrily asked how long it had been since her sister had visited her grandmother. She complained that she was the one taking care of her grandmother, so why couldn't Ha-jae just come visit? In response, Ha-jae said that no one told Ha-jin to live like that. If Ha-jin wanted to stop, then stop. It was her choice to live like that. Then Ha-jae suddenly hung up without saying anything more. When she returned home, Ha-jin told her mother everything. She thought that Ha-jae didn't want to go home. Her mother thought that Ha-jae worked in a key department, so it wasn't easy for Ha-jae to ask for leave. Hearing that, Ha-jin immediately told her mother to stop defending her. She blamed Ha-jae for never having even washed grandma's hair or changed her diaper. Hearing that, Kyung-soon immediately argued that Ha-jae paid for the nursing and hospital fees. If it weren't for Ha-jae, they would have lost this house. Right after that, her mother told Ha-jin to bring food for Ha-jae tomorrow, but Ha-jin firmly said no and left the house. When she went outside, she ran into Hosu again. He brought fruit to give to Ha-jin's family. Ha-jin didn't say a word and turned around and left. A moment later, Hosu came to find Ha-jin again because he wanted to ask about Ha-jae, but Ha-jin didn't want to hear that name. She accidentally hit Hosu's ear very hard, making him dizzy. Hosu had experienced something like that once when Ha-jin kicked a ball into his ear. At that time, Ha-jin immediately ran to ask, but Hosu acted very strangely. He held Ha-jin's hand tightly in panic. Thanks to Ha-jin's comfort, Hosu regained his composure. Then he left without explaining anything. Ha-jin followed Hosu and advised him to go to the hospital, but Hosu kept telling Ha-jin not to follow him anymore. Ha-jin wondered why he left like that. She was afraid that he had a traumatic brain injury. She didn't understand why Hosu avoided her question. Seeing that, Ha-jin followed him to ask the reason. Seeing that Hosu didn't say anything, she asked if he was deaf. At that time, Hosu suddenly fell down, so Ha-jin ran to help him up. However, he seemed extremely angry. Hosu thought Ha-jin was teasing him, while Ha-jin didn't understand why he was angry. Returning home, Ha-jae's sister revealed that Hosu almost died in a car accident and that half of his body was burned. Hosu also had hearing loss, and his legs were artificial real bones. After hearing this, Ha-jin was completely stunned. She didn't expect that her actions of asking about him would hurt him. Ha-jin blamed herself for not knowing the truth sooner. Back to reality, Ha-jin bought ice for Hosu to put on his ears. At this time, his tinnitus had also lessened a lot. Right after that, Ha-jin asked Hosu what he was going to ask about Ha-jae just now. Hosu said that he had met Ha-jae recently, and he felt that Ha-jae was very tired because every time he met Hosu, Ha-jae ran away. Hearing this, Ha-jin was surprised. Hosu advised Ha-jin to try calling and asking about his sister. Ha-jin said that she called Ha-jae today, but the two sisters are no longer close, so Ha-jae did not share any difficulties with Ha-jin. Ha-jin also revealed that the two have not seen each other for more than a year. Then Hosu revealed a secret to Ha-jin. He said that Ha-jin's grandmother once said that when Ha-jae was young, she had to stay in the hospital for a long time, and the whole family had to take turns taking care of her. She revealed that Ha-jae wanted her younger sister to visit the most, because only when she was with Ha-jin did her younger sister dare to show her weakness. Whenever she was in pain, Ha-jae did not dare to cry in front of anyone, but in front of Ha-jin, she could do it comfortably. Hearing what Hosu said, the next day, Ha-jin decided to bring the food her mother prepared for her sister. She suddenly realized how close the two of them used to be. Knowing that her sister came to the company to find her, Ha-jae rushed over and pretended to have just walked out of the office. Ha-jae immediately pulled her younger sister outside to talk. Ha-jae looked happy, completely different from what Hosu had said yesterday. The truth was that Ha-jae was trying to act like she was fine so that Ha-jin wouldn't have to worry about her. At that time, the employee dropped a cup and injured her hand. The boss was very concerned, so he told her to go to the hospital first. Just such a small thing made Ha-jae feel jealous. She wished her superiors and colleagues would treat her gently like that. Ha-jin wondered and asked her sister, "Are you jealous of being injured and going to the hospital?" In response, Ha-jae said that all office workers are the same. That could help employees get time off work. Then, Ha-jae thought that maybe falling from a suitable height was the best option because it wouldn't be life-threatening and wouldn't affect others. Ha-jae also said that the third floor would be just right. That way, she would have a chance to visit her grandmother. Ha-jin thought that was a joke, so she joked with Ha-jae that she should quit her job and then they would both be unemployed. Unexpectedly, Ha-jae also had the same intention. She wanted to leave that haunted company to go to a better place to work, but because of her contract with the company, she couldn't leave. A moment later, Ha-jin came out of the bathroom and Ha-jae was nowhere to be seen. There was still food on the table. Ha-jin called to ask and saw Ha-jae's phone on the table. She immediately brought the phone to the company to give it back to Ha-jae, but surprisingly, Ha-jae didn't go to work today. Ha-jin was surprised when Ha-jae said she had just come home from work. When she went outside, Ha-jin felt something was unusual. Ha-jae looked very strange today. Ha-jin began to wonder why she thought of injuring herself to get a day off. She suddenly realized and ran quickly to Ha-jae's apartment. At this time, at home, Ha-jae was throwing mattresses down below. She thought that it would reduce her injuries. When Ha-jae was about to jump down below, Ha-jin arrived in time, but Ha-jin could not hold her sister's hand forever. In the end, the two of them luckily fell onto the mattress, so they were fine. Ha-jin immediately scolded Ha-jae for that stupid plan. Was it necessary to do that just because Ha-jae wanted to take a vacation? Her sister blamed Ha-jin for not letting go of her hand. Ha-jae clearly remembered that her younger sister was afraid of heights, but Ha-jin jumped with Ha-jae. But how could Ha-jin let go? Because Ha-jae had always been an important person in her life. Just like that, the two of them burst into tears like children. Ha-jae and Ha-jin hugged each other and cried loudly. The sister then told her younger sister everything that happened at work. There was a senior in the office who was very different from everyone else. She never ignored anything that needed to be done. The senior that night was someone who always filled her bag with other people's trash. She was willing to do things for others whenever she had free time. Ha-jae found that there were few people as kind and warm as her, and thanks to her, Ha-jae was happy to work here for the first time. But then she was bullied at work because that senior refused to ignore the wrongdoings of her superior. She gradually became isolated by everyone. At that time, Ha-jae really wanted to ask her about it, but she was afraid that people would treat her the same way. Ha-jae thought a lot about this and decided to stand by her sister. Ha-jae reported to the board of directors about the incident where the senior sister was bullied by everyone in the company. But there was no fairy tale here. She thought that the kind and brave person would win, and Ha-jae thought that the kind senior sister would fight with her, but she chose to give up. The empty desk that she left behind now belonged to Ha-jae. Since then, she began to endure everything, just like what that senior had gone through. Ha-jae really wanted to quit her job, but she couldn't because Ha-jae had borrowed money from the company to send to her family. If she wanted to quit, she had to pay off all the debt. Ha-jin understood her sister's feelings, so she came up with an extremely bold plan. Ha-jin wanted to switch identities with Ha-jae, like the two of them did when they were young. She would pretend to be her sister to work at the company, and Ha-jae would return to her hometown downtown to live a life like Ha-jin. Not long after that, the two went to the hair salon to switch identities. Ha-jae now had short hair like Ha-jin. Ha-jin had long hair extensions like her sister. The two were already very similar, so just by changing their hairstyles, no one would be able to recognize them. Not only that, the two also switched phones. Ha-jae made her younger sister promise not to cause trouble and to stay quiet until she returned to the company. The next day, when she arrived at the company, Ha-jin felt like she had just landed on Earth from another planet. Everything was strange to her. Even though her sister had given her detailed instructions, Ha-jin did the opposite. Ha-jae told her to come early, but Ha-jin was late. At the meeting, her sister told her to sit next to the window, but Ha-jin still wanted to sit on the same level as everyone else. Ha-jae told her younger sister to treat her as invisible, but Ha-jin was always the center of attention. She even got her own coffee, which her sister usually didn't have that privilege. The manager suddenly wanted Ha-jin to give her opinion on the meeting, but she didn't know what to say. Luckily, the meeting was overdue, so the director wanted to stop. In another development, Ha-jae had a haunting dream of being bullied by her coworkers. She woke up with a start because of her mother's call. Her mother wondered if she had dyed her hair again. Ha-jae's mother said that her hair looked less offensive than before, and of course, she couldn't recognize Ha-jae. Immediately after that, Ha-jae suddenly remembered that she had to go to the hospital to take care of her grandmother. Ha-jin had previously agreed to go to the hospital twice a week, but if Ha-jae went there, her grandmother would find out right away, because her grandmother was the one who could tell Ha-jae and Ha-jin apart. So Ha-jae chose to go to Changha Farm to work because she was afraid of being discovered by her grandmother. When they arrived, Ha-jae asked the guy if this was Changha Farm. He laughed and wondered what she was trying to do. Then, he asked her to get to work right away because she came here for 200,000 won. In another development, Hosu asked his superior about Ha-jae's internal complaint. However, the superior told Hosu to drop the case because it seemed like they had handled it internally, but in fact, he had colluded with the defendant. Before that, the manager knew that Hosu was Ha-jae's classmate, so he let Hosu handle the case. When they arrived, Ha-jae was embarrassed to see Hosu, and so she decided to drop the complaint. On this side, Ha-jin sat waiting for the end of work to leave. As soon as the clock showed exactly 6 o'clock, she turned off the screen and left her desk. Ha-jin left proudly, leaving everyone surprised by her actions. After a day of working at the farm, Ha-jae received 200,000 won. Because the work was too hard, Ha-jae was about to text the owner to ask for leave, but at that moment she received a text from Ha-jin, who had finished the first day smoothly. So Ha-jae also deleted the text message she was about to send to the farm owner. Everything went on like that, and the two of them made it through the 4th day. That day, Director Choi called Ha-jin into the room to discuss. He suddenly assigned Ha-jin a secret project at the new headquarters site. The guy next to him wondered why the director didn't assign this task to him. At this time, the director explained that because he had delayed the project, he had to assign it to someone else. Right after that, Ha-jin went to the land where the project was being built. There was a piece of land that was being used as a restaurant, but the landlady was very difficult. She refused to sell the land, but Ha-jin believed that she knew how to deal with the elderly. When she arrived at the restaurant, Ha-jin ordered food and ate like a normal customer. After finishing her meal and paying, Ha-jin began to introduce herself. When she knew that she was an employee of a financial management corporation, she immediately sent the guest away. She insisted that she would never sell this land, so Ha-jin should not come back here again. When she returned home, Ha-jin opened the note that her sister left for her. Inside was a list of people she needed to stay away from, and the name that was especially noted was Director Choi. Only then did Ha-jin know why he had given her this task. The director pretended to be nice to her. He even put Ha-jin in this difficult situation. However, she still refused to give up. Ha-jin diligently sought out the landlady to persuade her day after day, but on the 9th day, she still only received a shake of the head from her. Although Ha-jin tried everything, it was no better. She chased her away like an evil spirit. On the way back, Ha-jin ran into Hosu. He still thought she was Ha-jae, so he asked why she disappeared without answering the phone. Hosu thought she had blocked his number. He immediately asked about the complaint. Ha-jin didn't know what complaint it was, so she tried to avoid it. Seeing her strange behavior, Hosu lost his patience and said that she shouldn't avoid issues related to her. Hearing that, Ha-jin wanted to meet Hosu this weekend, and he agreed. Hosu said he would send her the address later. Ha-jin immediately called her sister to ask about the lawsuit that Hosu mentioned. Ha-jae didn't reveal what the lawsuit was, but she advised Ha-jin not to meet Hosu, because Ha-jae was afraid that he would find out everything. At that moment, Hosu sent Ha-jin the meeting place address. She didn't refuse, but asked him why they met near the office. Hosu immediately texted back, where should they meet? Ha-jin remembered the moment the two of them had in high school. She also asked Hosu what place he liked in Seoul, but Hosu said that he thought there was nothing worth seeing in Seoul. Then Ha-jin gave him a notebook to write down the places he hadn't been to. She thought that if they met in a place they had never been to, it would be much more fun. Back to reality, Hosu went to a restaurant to meet Ha-jin because it was so crowded that he felt very dizzy. Ha-jin kept calling him, but he didn't hear anything. She realized this, so she quietly left. Ho-soo ran after him to ask why, but Ha-jin said that Ho-soo said he had something important to say, so this place wasn't suitable for a serious conversation. Right after that, the two of them stopped at a noodle shop by the Han River because in high school, Ha-jin had asked Ho-soo to eat noodles, but that was never done. After eating, Ho-soo felt it was delicious, and now he understood why Ha-jae liked to eat noodles by the Han River so much. Hearing this, Ha-jin was really surprised. A moment later, Ho-soo wondered why she dropped that case. Was it because of him? Then Ho-soo showed Ha-jin a document. Inside the document was her company's internal investigation report. When someone reported it, Ho-soo's company would intervene and investigate. Coincidentally, that day he was recommended to replace the managing lawyer. In cases like this, when there is sexual harassment, sometimes the victim will drop the case because they are afraid that the rumor will spread. Ho-soo said that he didn't know the details, so she shouldn't worry. Ha-jin immediately asked if they were talking about director Choi, right? But Ho-soo said that he thought it was Chief Specialist San-young. Only then did Ha-jin understand why Ha-jae insisted on not letting her see Ho-soo, and she also understood why she always tried to avoid Ho-soo. Ha-jin didn't want Ho-soo to get involved in her sister's business. Once she wanted to give up, there must be a reason, so Ha-jin also affirmed that she would drop the lawsuit. She was about to leave when Ho-soo asked her to go see the fountain because it was about to be operational, but Ha-jin said that the fountain was not interesting. Hearing that made Ho-soo wonder because when he and Ha-jae went to the test in Seoul, she said that she really liked to see the fountain. The next day, when her mother entered the room, Ha-jae immediately hid the book. She knew that her daughter had quit her job at the farm, so she wanted Ha-jae to take care of her grandmother. When she arrived, she didn't dare to look straight into her grandmother's eyes, but no matter what, her grandmother could still recognize her as Ha-jae. Hearing her grandmother call her name made Ha-jae a little panic. Then she asked if grandma wasn't curious why Ha-jae was here. She said that she knew Ha-jae was trying to endure everything. She knew Ha-jae would hide it until she couldn't bear it anymore. Hearing that, Ha-jae burst into tears and said that she wasn't enduring it but was running away. She thought that it was the right thing to do and that Ha-jae was doing a good job even though she didn't know what was happening to Ha-jae. On this side, Ha-jin continued to look for the landlady to try to convince her. She intended to sprinkle salt on Ha-jin. Ha-jin quickly spoke up that she was working just like she was running this restaurant and that Ha-jin and the landlady were both trying to make a living, so she hoped she wouldn't treat her like that. Moreover, she didn't ask her to sell or sign anything. Ha-jin just wanted her to read this document. Just as she interrupted, the landlady asked if she was finished speaking and didn't hesitate to throw salt in Ha-jin's face. After that, she sadly left. Once again, Ha-jin messed up, but this time she felt much more at ease. She felt like she had removed her invisible mask. At that moment, Ha-jin received a message from Ho-soo, and he wanted to see her. Ha-jin arrived at the bank of the Han River, and Ho-soo was already sitting there. Here, he suddenly apologized to Ha-jin. Ho-soo said that the last time he was recommended to Ha-jae's company was not a coincidence, but because his managing lawyer knew that they were classmates, he had deliberately arranged it. Even though everything was over, Ho-soo was ready to support Ha-jae when he needed it, because thanks to Ha-jae, he knew who he was. Ha-jin also had thoughts in her head. All this time, she always thought she understood Ha-jae, but she was just guessing and deceiving herself that she understood. There were many other things that Ha-jin did not know. At that moment, she suddenly received a phone call from the landlady who wanted to meet her at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It seemed that she had started to change her mind. After hearing this, Ha-jin jumped up in joy. She was so happy that she asked Ho-soo to eat instant noodles. Then the two of them waited to watch the water show. Hearing this, Ho-soo realized that person standing in front of her was Ha-jin, not Ha-jae. He immediately asked if he was Ha-jin, right? Hearing this, she was surprised and didn't know how to explain. After regaining her composure, Ha-jin immediately denied it. But Ho-soo still wondered why her way of speaking and behaving was exactly like Ha-jin. Ha-jin snapped. Am I allowed to be happy or excited? She thought that the two of them rarely met, so he couldn't understand her. After listening, Ho-soo could only apologize for the misunderstanding, but deep down he felt that Ha-jae standing in front of him was very different. Ha-jin remembered herself in the past. The only person who understood her feelings was none other than Ho-soo. When she was young, Ha-jin did everything to get her mother's attention, but she only cared about Ha-jae. Maybe she discriminated because Ha-jae was a good student, which made Ha-jin feel sad. But then when she met Ho-soo, everything was different. The two of them could laugh and talk happily together. They could also cry freely whenever they encountered sadness. Since then, Ha-jin began to have feelings for Ho-soo. But then one day, Ha-jin caught Ho-soo walking next to her sister. She heard people in school gossip that the two were dating. Ha-jin still didn't really believe it until one day she participated in a running competition. With her natural talent, winning was just a matter of time. But then everything collapsed immediately when Ha-jin looked up at the stage and saw her sister fall into Ho-soo's arms. The shock caused Ha-jin to collapse. It was a painful fall that she could not recover from until much later. Back in the present, Ha-jin went to see the owner of the tavern. She finished reading the paper but refused to sell the land. She did not explain the reason and then chased Ha-jin away, leaving her to try to hold on. When returning to the company, Ha-jin was reprimanded by the head of the department, San-young, for not being able to convince the owner of the restaurant. He did not care how Ha-jin did it, but Han-jin insisted on bringing the consent paper back here. At the same time, Ho-soo arrived at the company and saw everyone in a meeting. He was puzzled because he had not received any notice of this meeting. The superior did not explain a word and chased Ho-soo out so that the meeting could continue. At home, Ha-jae was preparing to go to the farm. The farm owner Chang-ha had seen her seedling business proposal. He thought it was great and wanted to cooperate with her. When she went outside, Ha-jin's ex-boyfriend was at the gate. He told Ha-jae to get in the car to take her to the farm. When they arrived, he asked Ha-jae what time she would be back so he could pick her up. Because she was shy, she said she could go home by herself, but he insisted on taking her home. At that moment, the farm owner Chang-ha appeared. Se-jin said that she didn't want to go home, so why did he have to say so much? Moreover, Se-jin also wanted to take Ha-jae home after finishing work. Meanwhile, Ha-jin continued to look for the restaurant owner. This time, Ha-jin didn't go in to persuade her, but instead sat outside, keeping watch on her. When she saw her closing the restaurant to go somewhere, Ha-jin followed her. The bar owner went to the cultural center to read poetry. The staff here thought Ha-jin was a new student, so they invited her to try out, and she gave Ha-jin a poem about Sanwon Beach. Reading that poem made Ha-jin remember her situation in the past. After Ha-jin had an accident in a running competition, darkness seemed to cover her life. Ha-jin had nowhere to go and was always alone. She decided to throw away her shoes, like throwing away her dream. From being the valedictorian of her gym class, Ha-jin fell into the abyss of failure. When reading those lines of poetry, Ha-jin was overwhelmed with emotion. At that moment, the tavern owner noticed Ha-jin. She panicked, so she quickly left but bumped into the staff here. At this time, the tavern owner was also in front of Ha-jin, so she immediately explained that she just happened to meet her and wasn't following her. She knew that, so she left without saying a word. That night, Ha-jin told Ho-soo everything that happened that day. Ha-jin wanted to know if watching someone like that would be considered illegal if the tavern owner reported her to the police. Ho-soo said that following her in public places or on the road was not illegal, but she could accuse Ha-jin of stalking if Ha-jin continued to follow her. Ho-soo then advised Ha-jin to apologize to her as soon as possible. He then looked up the information of the tavern owner and found out that she was the poet Rosa and that she had studied at the same school as Ho-soo in the sociology department. She was the author of the poem Sanwon, which appeared on the university entrance exam. But Ha-jin did not take the university entrance exam, so she did not know about it. Not only that, she was also famous for the Kim Rosa scholarship at Ho-soo's school. This was a scholarship for freshmen with single mothers, and Ho-soo himself had received it. Knowing that Ho-soo knew Rosa, Ha-jin begged him to help persuade her. She said that he could just consider it a greeting because Ho-soo had never thanked her for the scholarship anyway. But no matter what she said, Ho-soo refused. At that moment, a motorbike rushed towards Ho-soo. Ha-jin quickly helped him avoid a collision with the motorbike. She took this opportunity to say that she had just saved his life, so Ha-jin hoped that Ho-soo would help her. But Ho-soo said that neither of them were good at dealing with people, so she would rather take Ha-jin because Ha-jin was good at making people open up. When it came to opening up, Ha-jin remembered herself. That year, after she won many awards from school to city level, many people surrounded her. Everyone wanted to be her friend, but when she had an accident, they all turned their back. That made Ha-jin even more desperate. The next day, Ha-jin brought a gift to Mrs. Rosa. She read the poem about the sea that her grandmother wrote, so she thought this gift would be very suitable, but above all, it was to apologize for following her yesterday. Here, Ha-jin told everything she had just knew about Mrs. Rosa. She also revealed that she had a friend who had received a scholarship from her. That friend was the same age as Ha-jin and had now become a famous lawyer. Mrs. Rosa did not believe it because no one had ever come to thank her before. Thinking of this made her feel sad. Ha-jin used sweet words to please Mrs. Rosa, but it still did not work, so she switched to action. Ha-jin helped her mop the floor, even though Mrs. Rosa did not ask. Seeing that, Mrs. Rosa was angry and she shouted loudly, "Did Ha-jin's company force her to do these things?" Ha-jin said not really, but she did not know what to do because she wanted to please Mrs. Rosa but did not know how. Seeing Ha-jin like that, she also felt sorry for her. For more than 10 years, that company's been taking advantage of its employees to do such things. Mrs. Rosa advised Ha-jin to never come back here again because she did not hate Ha-jin, but she hated her company very much. Ha-jin left absent-mindedly. Maybe she would never be able to convince Mrs. Rosa. It was just like her story in the past. Before the important race, Ha-jin kept telling Ho-soo to come and cheer her on. She said that if she won, she had something to say to Ho-soo. But after losing and seeing Ho-soo with her sister, Ha-jin did not want to say anything anymore. At that time, she was very angry with Hosu. At that time another boy was also there. He suddenly said he wanted to date Hajin. Hearing that, she agreed without thinking, just because Hajin wanted to show Hosu. The following days, Hajin was determined to return to the track but couldn't. The doctor informed Hajin's mother and grandmother that she could never become an athlete. The only door Hajin had was closed. Just thinking about it made Hajin feel sad. On this side, Hosu and his colleagues had a meeting with a partner company. There was another person from the partner company but he couldn't come yet. At this time, Hosu was filled with emotions, so he asked everyone to leave first. When Hosu reached the door, he accidentally met an old friend, Ji-jun. She really wanted to see Ha-jae again, so she asked Hosu to call her. When Ha-jin arrived, she immediately realized that it was the person who abandoned her when she had an accident. Ji-jun is currently working at a nearby company. That company specializes in finding famous restaurants to create content and introduce to everyone. Sitting all day, Ji-jun only talked about work and the company. This made Ha-jin feel uncomfortable because she didn't know much about those things. When the three of them were about to leave, Ha-jin suddenly remembered that she had mistakenly taken Mrs. Rosa's bathroom key. That place was also on the way to Ji-jun, so she wanted to give Ha-jin a ride. Sitting in the car, Ji-jun suddenly revealed that she really wanted to see Ha-jin again. Ji-jun said that she admired Ha-jin very much, but she didn't know what she had done wrong, that Ha-jin kept her distance from Ji-jun. Ha-jin was really surprised by that. It turned out that she had wrongly blamed Ji-jun all along. Ji-jun curiously asked Ha-jin why she had come to the tavern at that hour. Ha-jin, feeling awkward, replied that she had something she needed to return to the tavern. Ji-jun revealed that the owner of that bar was her aunt. The next day, Director Choi gave Ha-jin a week to bring Mrs. Rosa to the company. He revealed that this performance review was very important, then he warned her not to mess it up. Ha-jin was really confused because a week was too short to convince her. Not long after, she received a call from Ji-jun. Ji-jun said that she was on her way to Ha-jin's aunt's pub. She said that her next season's theme was nostalgia, so Ji-jun thought that the pub was very suitable for cooperation with her company. Ha-jin panicked when she heard that. Ha-jin immediately said that the tavern owner really hated noisy and crowded restaurants. She would throw salt in the face of strangers who came. When Ha-jin knew that she couldn't stop Ji-jun, she immediately ran there. On this side, Mrs. Rosa saw the note that Ha-jin left because Ha-jin had mistakenly taken the key yesterday. After reading it, she immediately stuffed the note into her pocket. When Ha-jin ran to the place, Ji-jun had just arrived. She immediately stopped Ji-jun. Just then, Mrs. Rosa opened the door and walked out. Ji-jun immediately introduced herself as Ha-jin's friend, and Ji-jun came here because Ha-jin introduced this restaurant as her aunt's. At the same time, she also apologized to Mrs. Rosa for coming without notice. At this moment, Ha-jin stood still in anxiety, her two hands pinching each other. This reminded Mrs. Rosa of herself. She had also done the same thing in fear when standing in front of the debt collectors. At that time, a girl stood up to protect her. Immediately after that, Mrs. Rosa suddenly told Ji-jun that she was indeed Ha-jin's aunt, but she did not hate strangers coming to visit. Mrs. Rosa also told Ji-jun to come to her house another day. After hearing this, Ha-jin was surprised. She wanted to know why she said that. Ha-jin bowed her head to apologize and then admitted that she did not mean to lie like that. Mrs. Rosa knows that everyone feels bad when a lie is exposed and she has lied for herself. That's why she helped Ha-jin save face in front of Ji-jun. She considered it as a reward for cleaning the house last time. Mrs. Rosa knew that company wanted Ha-jin to do something again, and she wanted to know what it was. Ha-jin immediately replied shyly that the company wanted to meet her and asked Mrs. Rosa if she could come to her company. After thinking for a while, Mrs. Rosa said that this Friday she could come to Ha-jin's company and she wanted to tell them herself instead of letting Ha-jin suffer. After hearing that, Ha-jin felt very happy. She bowed her head and kept thanking her. She asked her about the bathroom key. Ha-jin immediately asked her if she hadn't read the note she left behind, because she had written on it that she left the key at convenience store next door. Seeing Mrs. Rosa like that, she immediately offered to go get it for her. When Ha-jin had just left, Hosu suddenly appeared here. Hearing Hosu introduce himself as a student who had received the Rosa scholarship made her very happy. Ha-jin returned and saw Hosu giving a gift to Mrs. Rosa. Seeing her so happy, she didn't want to interrupt. Ha-jin stood outside for a while. Then Mrs. Rosa came out and took back the keys. Then Ha-jin entered the house. Since Ha-jin set foot here, she had never seen her so excited. Ha-jin asked Hosu why he suddenly came here. Ha-jin thought he would never come because Hosu always said that he was afraid of some conflict of interest. Here, Hosu also revealed that he had quit his job. He was free, so he would help her with the accusation at the company. Because Hosu used to work for a law firm, he couldn't take on the case himself. Ha-jin didn't care about the lawsuit, but she wanted to know why he quit his job. Hosu said he just wanted to find a better company and he didn't regret that decision. Ha-jin didn't know whether to let Hosu handle the case for her sister or not, because according to her, each animal has its own way of surviving. After the accident that year, Ha-jin took 2 months off from from school. The teacher informed Ha-jae about this because without a sick note from the hospital, she wouldn't be eligible to graduate. Ha-jae returned home and knocked on Ha-jin's door, but Ha-jin refused to open it. Immediately after that, Ha-jae had to cut her hair to pretend to be Ha-jin. Ha-jae went to class regularly to take attendance on behalf of her younger sister. Since then, Ha-jin has locked herself in her room for 2 years. If anyone asked about Ha-jin, her mother would say that her daughter went to Seoul to treat her leg. Back to reality, Ha-jin informed director Choi that she had scheduled an appointment with the landlady. He immediately praised Ha-jin and told everyone to clap to encourage her. Mr. Choi was not a simple person. He wanted to raise Ha-jin up high so that everyone would know that thanks to Ha-jin, she had this appointment so that when something bad happened, all the attention would be on her. If the landlady had not come that day, Ha-jin would have to bear all the consequences. Ha-jin, who was standing nearby, heard all of his dark schemes and immediately ran to find Mrs. Rosa. Mrs. Rosa's shop was leaking water, so she intended to close it for 3 days. Ha-jin also recorded everything to report back to the company. Mrs. Rosa gave Ha-jin a bag of food because the refrigerator was broken and there was no place to put it. Then she asked Ha-jin to bring some ginseng chicken soup to Ho-soo. She was afraid that Ho-soo would think too much after quitting his job, so he needed to eat properly. Ha-jin immediately brought it to Ho-soo. She saw him looking down, so she asked why. Ho-soo revealed that he had applied to many places, but no one wanted to hire him. Ha-jin advised Ho-soo to take a break. She told him that he could travel or do whatever he liked. Ho-soo said that he didn't like anything, he just slept and did housework. Hearing that, Ha-jin asked Ho-soo to go somewhere. She went to the market to buy a ball of yarn and taught Ho-soo how to knit. Ha-jin believes that the power of knitting is to help people relax. Thinking about the past only makes us regret, and thinking about the future only makes us worry. So she told Ho-soo to knit whenever he thinks too much. Ho-soo wondered what if he became useless. He wanted to apply for a better law firm to prove his choice was right, but after a while, Ho-soo realized that the law firm he just quit was the best. He thought that he could only apply for worse law firms, but Ha-jin didn't think so. Hearing that, Ha-jin immediately encouraged him that no matter where he went, he was still Ho-soo. She thought that he just quit his job, but he didn't change as a person. After hearing that, Ho-soo wondered why she was so kind, because the Ha-jae he used to know never comforted anyone. Ha-jin immediately changed the subject so that Ho-soo wouldn't have to wonder about these things. That day, Se-jin bought a chair for Ha-jae so she could sit comfortably while working. He also just heard the news that she had a twin sister, so he asked her. Ha-jae admitted that it was true. Because they were born from the same egg, they looked very similar. Se-jin also knew that there was a period of time when Ha-jin disappeared for about 2 or 3 years. Thinking about his sister's story, Ha-jae made up all kinds of excuses to avoid answering. On this side, Ho-soo received a text message from Ha-jin. She told him to go to Sindong Station. Ho-soo went there and knitted while waiting. At that moment, Mrs. Rosa passed by and saw him. It turned out that Ha-jin wanted Ho-soo to follow Mrs. Rosa to help the work. Mrs. Rosa didn't want that because Ho-soo was a lawyer. How could he do odd jobs? She advised Ho-soo to go back, but he said that he was unemployed and had a lot of free time. Right after that, he followed Mrs. Rosa to buy a refrigerator. At that moment, he received a phone call from his mother. Just because she wanted to show off her talented child, she turned on the speakerphone for her classmates to hear. She asked Ho-soo how his work was going. After a moment of hesitation, he revealed to his mother that he had quit his job. After hearing that, she was really surprised, and Ho-soo immediately hung up. On the way home, Mrs. Rosa suddenly wanted to hire Ho-soo as her lawyer. She wanted him to be her legal representative in the upcoming meeting of Ha-jin's company. When she returned to the shop, Ha-jin was already there, and she also knew about it. She told Ha-jin that from now on, if there was anything related to her, she should inform this lawyer. Ho-soo wants to have the purchasing documents by this Monday, before the meeting takes place. Because this was work, Ho-soo did not show any respect to Ha-jin, even though the two were friends. On the way home, Ho-soo received a call from Ji-jun. She thanked Ho-soo because thanks to him, her interview went well. Ji-jun planned to stop by Ho-soo's office to discuss some matters, but he revealed that he had quit his job there. Hearing Ji-jun mention the class reunion this weekend, Ho-soo asked if she had told Ha-jae yet. Ji-jun immediately replied that she deliberately did not invite Ha-jae because Ji-jun thought that if Ha-jae dropped out of the civil service exam, she would be shy to meet other people. Ha-jin immediately grabbed Ho-soo's phone and thanked Ji-jun for thinking of her. And Ha-jin would come, and she would also bring Ho-soo along and make an appointment to meet everyone there. Ha-jin had to go. She did not want people to think that Ha-jae was trying to avoid him because she failed the civil service exam. Ha-jin also reminded Ho-soo to dress nicely that day, or they would keep gossiping about him. The day of the class reunion finally arrived. When Ha-jin was about to enter, she remembered the story from the past. At that time, everyone was gossiping about her future after the incident. They said that she wouldn't be able to go to college and that Ha-jin would marry Gyeong-gu since both of them were unstable. While she was thinking about it, her friend Song-hyun suddenly appeared and took took her inside. Everyone wondered why they never met Ha-jae. Ha-jae explained that she was too busy at work so she couldn't come. On this side, Mom was wondering about Ha-jae because it was time to pay her hospital bill, but her daughter hadn't sent any money back yet. Kyung-soon thought that Ha-jae was having financial difficulties. Ha-jae stood next to her and said that she would pay for her younger sister this time because she worked on a farm and had money, but Mom didn't want to take that money and told her to save it. She always thought that it was easier for Ha-jae to make money in the city. This made Ha-jae feel pressured because Mom was always waiting for her. Back to the class reunion, Ho-soo just arrived. Everyone knew that Ho-soo was now a lawyer, so everyone admired him. Some even wanted to ask for his business card. While Ho-soo was confused, Ji-jun revealed that he had quit his job at the famous Wongun law firm. Hearing that, everyone admired him even more. Ho-soo was a lawyer, and Ha-jae was an employee of a public company. Both of them were very talented. Immediately after that, they turned to mention Ha-jin. Some said they had seen Ha-jin delivering things at the supermarket. Some said she was a janitor. Hearing this, Ha-jin remembered the story of how they had once made fun of her. Ho-soo immediately spoke up, asking why they were gossiping behind her back like that. After hearing that, everyone was silent, and Ha-jin could only feel angry and unable to do anything. After the party ended, Ha-jin felt that Ho-soo was uncomfortable. She immediately approached and asked him. Ho-soo replied that this class reunion was nothing to be happy about, and he felt uncomfortable with Ha-jae because when everyone talked badly about Ha-jin like that, and sister like her could only stay silent. Only then did Ha-jin realize that Ho-soo always cared and thought about her. When she returned home, Ha-jin received a phone call from her sister. Ha-jae did not forget to mention the hospital bill for her grandmother, so she wanted Ha-jin to transfer money to her mother and then spend the rest. Ha-jae reminded Ha-jin to come home this Friday because her grandmother needed a haircut. But this Friday, Ha-jin had an important appointment with Mrs. Rosa, so she could not come home. Ha-jae asked her what she was busy with, and Ha-jin lied that she had an important meeting at work. She did not want her sister to worry, so she did not want to reveal it. After Ha-jae and Ha-jin switched identities, they realized each other's personal hardships. Putting themselves in someone else's shoes, they felt that everyone had their own hardships. But the thing is, they didn't know what the two were trying to do. That day, Mrs. Rosa reached for the bag high up and accidentally fell. At the same time, Ha-jin called to remind her about the meeting, but she couldn't answer the phone. Ha-jin immediately called Ho-soo to ask about Mrs. Rosa, but he said he wasn't with her. She immediately ran to her house to look for her. Ha-jin was shocked to see Mrs. Rosa still lying there. This scene reminded her of her grandmother who had a stroke. At that time, Ha-jin felt very nauseous while Mrs. Rosa didn't understand what was going on. Ho-soo also appeared soon after. Seeing that, he immediately went to get the bag for Ha-jin to vomit, and Mrs. Rosa was then taken to the hospital. Luckily, Mrs. Rosa only suffered minor injuries. Ha-jin thanked Ho-soo for being there at the right time because in the past, she had been in a similar situation. At that time, her mother tried to knock on the door but did not see Ha-jin answer, so she immediately broke the lock to get inside. Kyung-soon felt angry when Ha-jin locked herself in the room for 3 years. She kept saying that Ha-jin could not run anymore, did not mean her life was over. Ha-jin frankly asked when did her mother start caring about her, because she felt that her mother had never cared about her. She only cared about Ha-jae. In her anger, Ha-jin also asked her mother if she did not love her, so why did she give birth to her? As soon as she finished speaking, she slapped Ha-jin very hard, and Mrs. Kyung-soon continuously vented her anger on Ha-jin. Seeing that, her grandmother immediately stopped her. When she went out, her grandmother blamed Ha-jin's mother for doing that. Ha-jin's mother blamed her grandmother back because when she was young, her grandmother spoiled her too much, and now she was spoiled. Right after that, Grandma quietly came in to advise Ha-jin. She said that she just wanted her to be healthy and eat well. Grandma wanted Ha-jin to always be by her side, and she also emphasized that she had enough money to raise Ha-jin, so she shouldn't worry about anything. Ha-jin said that she felt regretful about everything and worried too much to the point of not being able to do anything. She didn't want to go out and become invisible. Moreover, her life was still long, but Ha-jin was completely lost. She compared herself to a piece of rag. Grandma comforted Ha-jin that if a young deer ran away from a lion, it wasn't trash. If a snail hid in its shell for fear of being eaten, it wouldn't be cowardly. They were just trying to survive, and so was Ha-jin. Grandma thought that everything she did to survive was brave. After hearing that, Ha-jin cried even louder and hugged Grandma tightly. Grandma was the one who always opened her arms to welcome Ha-jin. One day, Ha-jin heard a strange noise outside. She called called her grandmother's name, but she didn't answer. Ha-jin walked out of the room and saw her grandmother collapsed on the floor. She panicked and called her grandmother to wake up but couldn't. That was the first time Ha-jin dared to leave the house. She walked out for her grandmother and not for anyone else. In the pouring rain, Ha-jin went from house to house begging for help. Just thinking about this haunted Ha-jin at that moment. At the same time, Ho-soo revealed that he had talked to the department head. They would postpone the meeting after Mrs. Rosa was discharged from the hospital. Thinking about Mrs. Rosa reminded Ha-jin of her grandmother. She blamed herself that if she had taken her grandmother to the hospital earlier that year, things would not have turned out like this. If the person at home that day was not Ha-jin but someone else, her grandmother would not have been paralyzed. Ho-soo wondered how it was Ha-jin's fault, and she said that Ha-jin was always like that. She always wanted others to suffer with her, and that was what Ha-jin hated. Ho-soo sighed and said that his father must have died because of him. That day, Ho-soo asked to go out. Ho-soo didn't want to go with his mother, he only wanted to go with his father, and then their car was smashed by a drunk driver. Ho-soo thought that if he hadn't asked to go that day, things would have been different. After hearing that, Ha-jin immediately argued that it wasn't his fault, it was the drunk driver. Ho-soo replied that why did she blame Ha-jin? So what happened to her grandmother wasn't Ha-jin's fault. On this side, Ho-soo's mother invited Ha-jae to her house to make chili sauce. Seeing Ha-jae looking at that photo, she asked if this was Ha-jae. Ha-jae immediately denied it, but she didn't believe it. She said that there are few people as thoughtful and kind as Ha-jae. When he was still in school, Ha-jae even cut his hair short so that his sister could graduate. The vice principal also emphasized that no one cared about family like Ha-jae. On the other side, Ha-jin asked Ho-soo why he protected Ha-jin when the two of them were not close. Ho-soo did not hesitate to say that it was because he liked her, and Ha-jae also knew this because Ha-jin was his first love. Hearing this, Ha-jin was surprised. Ha-jin asked Ho-soo when he started liking her. He replied that when the two of them climbed Dusanbong in high school. That day was the day the whole class had a mountain climbing trip. After the accident with his father, Ho-soo's legs were not strong. The teacher knew about Ho-soo's condition, so he exempted him from climbing the mountain, and so did Ha-jae because her health did not allow for strenuous exercise. Even so, Ho-soo still wanted to climb to the top of Dusanbong mountain. On the way, he saw Ha-jin coming down. He wondered about this. Then she said she heard people say that Ho-soo would climb, so she wanted to go see. Because she saw Ho-soo had difficulty walking, Ha-jin helped him find a cane, but he didn't need it. Ho-soo told Ha-jin to go first, but she wanted to go with him. This made Ho-soo angry again, and Ha-jin didn't understand why. Back to reality, Ha-jin wondered when there was a moment that made him move. At that moment, Ho-soo got a phone call, so he left first without being able to explain everything. Back at the company, the department head asked Ha-jin to make a report to send to her superiors. She asked the department head to assign another person to do the report, but the department head didn't agree. On this side, the doctor checked and found that Mrs. Rosa's bones and head were fine. However, he discovered that she had a lot of gallstones. For many years, she also felt pain in her body, but she suppressed it, so she did not go to the hospital for a checkup. Knowing about Mrs. Rosa's condition, Ha-jin thought that there was a silver lining in every misfortune. Because she fell, she discovered gallstones. Mrs. Rosa had to stay for surgery, so Ho-soo would go to Ha-jin's company alone, and the company could make an appointment any day, so he told Ha-jin to choose a day. Here, Ha-jin continued to ask what happened at the top of Dusanbong mountain that made him like Ha-jin. Did Ho-soo like her because she helped him down the mountain? But Ho-soo said it was when he climbed the mountain. This made Ha-jin even more confused. When she returned home, Ha-jin did not know how to write a report. Just then, Ha-jae called because grandma wanted to hear Ha-jin's voice. Ha-jin became spoiled when she heard her grandmother's voice. She immediately asked her grandmother if Ha-jae took good care of her. Her grandmother affirmed that everything was fine, but for Ha-jin now, it's not okay at all. Every day she lives in fear of playing Ha-jae's role. Hearing that, grandma asked Ha-jin if she still remembered the promise from years ago. Even if Ha-jin wasn't here, grandma would still keep that promise. Ha-jae stood next to grandma and asked what the promise was, but grandma said it was a secret between the two of them. The next day when she arrived at the company, Ha-jin suddenly saw documents on the table. She wondered which kind person would send them to her. The only person she could think of was the contract employee, Kim Tae. During lunch, Ha-jin asked him if he was the one who gave her the documents. Kim Tae nodded. Ha-jin wondered if she had asked him for help. Right after that, Ha-jin asked Kim Tae to help her with a report, but he refused. He had never written a report before, so he couldn't help. Kim Tae's job was only to provide documents. Ha-jin wanted all the documents that Kim Tae had. She told Kim Tae that any report documents that he found relevant should be given to her. On this side, Ho-soo had an appointment with his old colleague. Hearing Ho-soo say that he was planning to set up a company, she asked where the office was. Ho-soo said that he had just submitted a business registration to help someone he knew. She was curious and asked if she was the girl who crocheted the yarn last time, but Ho-soo said that she was just a friend. Seeing that she kept asking, Ho-soo also revealed that the girl girl who crocheted the yarn was the twin sister of his first love. Hearing that, she immediately asked if he and his first love were a couple now. Hosu frankly replied that it was just a one-sided love, so he did not confess. The colleague immediately advised Hosu to move forward with the girl who taught him to crochet, but she also reminded him to be clear with his own feelings. She suspected that Hosu still had feelings for Hajin because the two girls were too similar. She asked if he was looking for the shadow of his first love in Hajae. According to her, Hosu should meet his first love himself, confirm before things get more complicated. Hosu immediately returned to his hometown to verify this. That night, Hajae was taken home by the farm owner. As soon as she got home, she saw Hosu waiting in front of the gate and he wanted to talk to Hajae. Hosu asked about the guy who took her home earlier, but Hajae said that he was just a colleague. Hosu revealed that he had quit his job because he had a lot of free time and kept thinking about his high school days. Hosu asked if she still remembered the day they climbed to the top of Dusanbong because he still remembered the moment when they were on top of the mountain from time to time. For Hosu, it was a turning point in his life. He believed that if he hadn't climbed to the top of the mountain that day, he would have become a different person now. Hosu expressed his gratitude because it was thanks to her that he was able to overcome his limits. Hosu sat waiting for Hajin's reaction, but saw nothing. This made him feel a little disappointed. A completely different Hajin than the one he knew. Hajin used to always sit next to his right hand because he had a problem with his left hand, but Hajin did the opposite. On this side, Hajin saw Kim Tae helping him very enthusiastically, so Hajin felt suspicious. She wanted to know if he was Director Choi's spy. Kim Tae laughed when he heard that, and he revealed that she had helped him like that before. So Kim Tae felt that he was always grateful to her. When she returned home, Hajin immediately called Hajae to ask about Kim Tae, but Hajae said he had never talked to him. Hajin wondered if he had a secret crush on Hajae, but Hajae firmly stated that he did not. Hajae also revealed that she had just met Hosu. Furthermore, Hosu kept mentioning the story at Dusanbong Peak. Hajae said that thanks to Hajin, he was able to reach the summit. Hajin wondered why Hosu told her this. Hajin said that she knew that Hosu and his sister had dated before, and that Hajin found out about it the day the two went to Hajin's running race. Hearing that, Hajae denied it. Hajae said that she was sick at the time. Hajae didn't want her family to know about it because the next day was the college entrance exam, so she asked Hosu to keep it a secret. Hearing what Hajae said, Hajin was startled to realize that she had misunderstood the two of them all along. Even because of being angry about it, Hajin agreed to date her friend Jeonggu in front of Hosu. That day, Hosu had a meeting with Hajin's company. Hosu's side proposed a land compensation that was 40% higher than the market price. They also rented out the retail space to the landowner if she wanted. Hosu wanted to know who was in charge of this case, and Mr. Choi confirmed that it was him. Hajin was surprised that he had taken all the credit, but Hosu said that his client would not sell under those conditions. If Mr. Choi wanted to, he could continue to persuade the landowner. Furthermore, Mrs. Rosa felt uncomfortable when they used employees to try to negotiate and please her. Finally, Hosu emphasized that from now on, he would ask Director Choi to take charge of the project himself and that he would work directly through Mrs. Rosa's lawyer. On this side, Mrs. Kyung Soon heard rumors that Ha-jin was dating the farm owner. She advised her daughter to take care of herself before dating or getting married. Ha-jae asked her mother where she heard this information, and Mrs. Kyung Soon said it was from the neighbors. Ha-jae was upset because of those false rumors. She confirmed to her mother that there was no such thing. Ha-jae felt that this was no different from her colleagues gossiping about her at company. That haunted Ha-jae. The next day, she went to see the farm owner to quit. Ha-jae did not give a clear reason, but kept saying that it was not his fault. On this side, Ha-jin submitted the report to the department head. The department head glanced through it and found that there were many mistakes in the report. Doing something that was not in her field of expertise, Ha-jin could not do well, even though she could not deny that she tried very hard. On the other side, Ji-jun went to Mrs. Rosa's shop and met Hosu there. Immediately after that, the two of them invited each other to a coffee shop to chat. Ji-jun revealed that their next topic was nostalgia, so they wanted to go to Mrs. Rosa's shop. Then she wondered why he was there. Ji-jun asked Ha-jae if Hosu helped, because the shop owner was Ha-jae's aunt, right? Hearing that, Hosu was really surprised and he revealed that he was now the shop owner's lawyer. Ji-jun wondered if Hosu and Ha-jae had ever dated, because she heard people in school say so. But Hosu insisted that he had never dated Ha-jae. Ji-jun then asked if he was dating anyone now. After listening, Hosu did not answer. That night, Kim Tae saw Ha-jin in a bar on his way home. He stopped by to ask her something and saw that she was a bit drunk. Ha-jin felt disappointed about that report. She had worked hard on it all day and night, but to no avail. Kim Tae advised Ha-jin to take a break if she felt tired, but Ha-jin said that would only make her lock herself in her room. Once she was in there, it was very difficult to get out. Many years ago, after her grandmother had a stroke, Ha-jin locked herself in her room. She always thought it was her fault, so she blamed herself. At that time, her mother stood outside and advised Ha-jin to go to the hospital because her grandmother said she had something to tell her. Her grandmother said she would wait for her to visit. However, Ha-jin still did not have the courage to step out of the room and go see her grandmother. But then she remembered what Ho-soo had said at the top of the mountain. He said that if he could not climb a mountain like this, he would rather die. After that, Ha-jin told herself that if she could not go see her grandmother today, she would rather die. That was the motivation for her to step out of the room. At the hospital, her grandmother was sure that Ha-jin would come. Ha-jin immediately apologized, but she always thought that the fault was not Ha-jin's. She wanted to see her beloved grandchild so that she could say one thing, that she was now bedridden, and she understood Ha-jin's feelings when she locked herself in the room. Even though she was old, she was still very scared, just like the hardships Ha-jin had experienced. So she wanted the two of them to promise one thing, that no matter what happened, they would try to live. Ha-jin would continue on his path, and she would continue to fight the disease. Since that day, Ha-jin has struggled every day to get to where she is today. On this side, Ji-jun took Ho-soo to his house, and she even sent him a gift. It seemed that Ji-jun started flirting with Ho-soo. Back in the room, Ho-soo received a phone call from Ha-jin. She wanted to see him and was standing in front of his house. Ho-soo ran outside and saw Ha-jin drunk. Ha-jin blamed Ho-soo for the way he treated her. She said that he made her confused and difficult to understand. And if Ho-soo liked Ha-jin, why couldn't he say why? She was sure that he climbed the mountain himself. So how could Ho-soo have developed feelings for Ha-jin on the way? Today, she asked him to explain everything clearly. After a moment of hesitation, Ho-soo began to tell that he was the last person to climb to the top of the mountain that day. When he saw that everyone had gone down, Ho-soo did not see Ha-jin. But then, he saw her standing on the top of the mountain waiting for him. He himself did not believe that he could do it, but Ha-jin believed that he could do it. She was there for Ho-soo, and Ho-soo reached the top of the mountain thanks to her. Ho-soo affirmed that if he were alone, he would not have been able to do it. So Ho-soo said that he liked Ha-jin, because the whole way up, he kept thinking about her. Ha-jin replied that she did too. That day, she went because she was thinking about Ho-soo. After hearing that, Ho-soo did not understand what was happening anymore. The next day, Ha-jin woke up in Ho-soo's bed. She was startled when she remembered what she had said to him last night. Things got more complicated when Ha-jin said she loved him, but with Ha-jae's identity. At that moment, Ho-soo appeared. She blamed Ho-soo for not calling a car to take her home when she was drunk last night. However, Ha-jae apologized for bothering him. She asked if she did anything stupid, because when drunk, Ha-jin often said nonsense that sounded real, but actually wasn't. And maybe she blurted out shocking things, like a confession. So Ha-jin reminded Ho-soo not to misunderstand. Ho-soo revealed that there were other shocking things after that. He didn't want to say them, and this made Ha-jin even more curious. Ho-soo received a call from Ji-jun. Ho-soo immediately went to the meeting place with Ji-jun. There, Ji-jun asked Ho-soo if he was free tomorrow to have lunch with her, but Ho-soo said he was busy. Ji-jun sat down and begged Ho-soo because the restaurant she wanted to go to only accepted reservations for 2 people or more. After a while, Ho-soo reluctantly agreed. That night, Ha-jin received a text message from Ho-soo. He said he was holding her bag so he would stop by the office to give it back to her. But Ho-soo did not go alone, but with Ji-jun. Ha-jin wondered about this. Then Ji-jun said they had just come back from dinner together. Ho-soo was curious when she saw the bakery across the street was unusually crowded. Hearing that, Ji-jun immediately invited Ho-soo to go there to check it out. Ha-jin saw the two of them walking together, so Ha-jin wondered if they were really dating. Returning to the room, Ha-jin called to ask about Ha-jae. Since changing her identity, Ha-jin only talked about herself and forgot to ask if Ha-jae was okay. Her sister said that she was working at a strawberry farm. This job helped her eat, sleep better, and think less. By the way, Ha-jae wants to switch positions next week. Ha-jin thinks next week is too urgent because she hasn't been able to do anything for her sister yet. Ha-jin starts planning what to do before switching. She wants to settle things with Ho-soo when she returns to her normal self next week. Ha-jin has to deal with the mess she made before Ha-jae comes back. On this side, Ji-jun accidentally hears the news that company is not going to sign a contract with her anymore. Everyone is also gossiping that Ji-jun is dating a lawyer guy. They sarcastically say that he probably knows that Ji-jun is a contract employee. Ji-jun then goes to the restaurant that he had arranged with Ho-soo. There, Ji-jun says that she is teasing Ho-soo, but it turns out to be the opposite. She thinks that Ho-soo doesn't know that she is a contract employee, so Ji-jun acts like she is very good. If Ho-soo knew, he should have told Ji-jun sooner. Now Ji-jun feels extremely ashamed for lying. Ho-soo says that he never thought she lied. He feels that there is no need to say it. According to Ho-soo, if Ji-jun works hard, it is not a lie. He does not think that she will feel cheated just because she did not tell the truth. And if that hurts Ji-jun, Ho-soo apologizes. Ji-jun laughs because Ho-soo always takes the blame when he did nothing wrong. Hearing Ho-soo's sincere words, Ji-jun feels much more comfortable. Ho-soo's former manager Chung-gu wants to take on Mrs. Rosa's case. Chung-gu wants to go see her alone, but Mr. Choi says that it is difficult for her to agree to a meeting meeting. He then wants to meet Ha-jin to talk because she is the person in charge. Before that, Chung-gu knew that Ha-jin and Ho-soo were high school classmates. He wondered why the two knew each other but were on opposite sides. Chung-gu asked Ha-jin if she was the one who introduced Ho-soo to Mrs. Rosa. Ha-jin denied it and said it was just a coincidence. He knew that she was going to leave the project because of tension with someone else. So Chung-gu suggested that if he could get rid of that person, would Ha-jae still take on the project? He then showed Ha-jin the confidential documents of the project, combining the new headquarters and the railway. The location of the Rosa restaurant was very important in the train station construction project. Very few people knew about it, and if the information was leaked, everything could be in trouble. He then emphasized that because she was in charge, he told her, and Ha-jae was not to tell anyone, not even the owner or her group. Not long after, Ha-jin went to the hospital to pick up Mrs. Rosa. She thanked Ha-jin because if it weren't for her, she would have died. Mrs. Rosa also apologized for treating Ha-jin harshly before. She intended to tell Mrs. Rosa about the secret project that Chung-gu gave her, but before she could say anything, Ho-soo and Ji-jun showed up. Returning to the tavern owner, Ha-jin saw an old photo of Mrs. Rosa with a girl named Sang-wol. Only now did she realize that Sang-wol was a person's name, not a sea name like in the poem Mrs. Rosa wrote. Hearing Ha-jin mention Sang-wol, Mrs. Rosa immediately changed the topic of conversation. Ji-jun asked Ha-jin what he thought of Ho-soo. Ji-jun said that she asked because she wanted to get closer to him. Ha-jin said that she wanted to do whatever she wanted, so why would she care about Ha-jin's thoughts? Ji-jun said that she didn't want the two of them to like the same thing. She saw that Ha-jae had everything from college to work. Ji-jun was just a contract worker and was about to lose his job. She admitted that she had only acted in front of everyone. Ha-jin then asked Ji-jun why she liked Ho-soo. Ji-jun replied that at first she noticed him because he was a lawyer, but then Ji-jun felt Ho-soo's gentleness and kindness. Ji-jun found him to be a very mysterious person, so she wanted to understand Ho-soo better to see his inner self. Hearing what Ji-jun said, Ha-jin felt sad. She felt like the game had not even started and she had already lost. Ha-jin had not yet confessed to Ho-soo as herself. She wondered if she would still have a chance when she returned to being herself. That day, while cleaning the house, Ho-soo saw Ha-jin's watch fall, so he made an appointment to meet Ha-jin to return it to her. Here, Ha-jin also revealed to Ho-soo about the secret project that Chung-gu had given her. He was surprised that Ha-jin could tell such an important secret. If Chung-gu heard about this, she would definitely be sued and get into big trouble. Ha-jin asked Ho-soo if she should tell Mrs. Rosa about this because she couldn't tell her to sell the house when hiding such important information. Ho-soo didn't want Ha-jin to get into trouble, so he pretended he had never heard anything. He advised Ha-jin not to mention this matter from now on. The next day when Ha-jin came to the company, Chung-gu asked Ha-jin if she had told anyone about the railway station. She immediately confirmed that she had not told anyone. After that, he showed Ha-jin an old photo of Mrs. Rosa. Chung-gu asked Ha-jin if the third woman from the left was Mrs. Rosa. Ha-jin didn't want to reveal it, so she said the photo was too old and she couldn't know. Returning to Mrs. Rosa's shop, Ha-jin remembered the woman Chung-gu pointed out. She was sure that person was Sang-wol, but Ha-jin wondered why he said it was Mrs. Rosa. At that moment, Mrs. Rosa gave Ha-jin the confidential document that she had carelessly left behind. Ha-jin was surprised when she didn't say anything after seeing it. Only then did Ha-jin realize that she seemed illiterate. Ha-jin immediately asked Ho-soo about this. After a while of interacting, Ho-soo knew about it, but he thought that maybe Mrs. Rosa could read simple words like her name. Ha-jin wondered if she couldn't read, how could she have gone to Ho-soo's school? Moreover, she was also a famous poet. Ha-jin was sure that Mrs. Rosa was hiding something, but Ho-soo thought that if you don't know the whole story, it's better to keep quiet. That day, Song-yeon came to pick up Ha-jin to attend the wedding of a high school friend. When the two arrived, they saw Ho-soo and Ji-jun there earlier. Seeing the two of them together made Ha-jin feel sad. On this side, Jung-gu was also taking Ha-jae to the wedding, but he didn't reveal this to Ha-jae. It was only when they got to Seoul that Jung-gu told the truth about the wedding of the two high school friends. He said that the wedding was just an excuse anyway because they would have a cozy date. Jung-gu said that he had booked a hotel room to stay overnight. Hearing that, Ha-jae immediately told Jung-gu to stop the car and she was angry with his intentions. Jung-gu immediately explained that he was just joking, but Ha-jae did not accept that kind of joke. He felt strange because the two of them had always joked like that. Only then did Jung-gu realize that the person standing in front of him was not Ha-jin. On the other side, Song-hyun wondered why Jung-gu had not arrived yet. Song-hyun heard that he would bring Ha-jin today. Ho-soo said that there was nothing fun about meeting those two people. Song-hyun was upset that Song-hyun wanted to bring Ha-jin and Jung-gu out to tease him. Ho-soo approached and grabbed Song-hyun by the collar. He intended to beat Song-hyun up, but everyone stopped him. Ho-soo immediately went out. Ha-jin asked Song-hyun if the two of them had any grudges before. It turned out that Jung-gu had intended to confess to Ha-jin back then. Song-hyun knew about this, so he taught Junggu what to do. Ho-soo knew about this, so he went to see Junggu. He did not hesitate to say that he also liked Ha-jin, so he advised Junggu to stop confessing to her. While Ha-jin and Ho-soo were arguing about Ha-jae, Junggu appeared to propose. Sitting inside, Sungyeon's group recorded the scene. Sungyeon laughed while watching the video. Ho-soo saw that and angrily threw Sungyeon's phone, and the two had a conflict until everyone stopped them. From that moment on, Junggu gave up the idea of flirting with Ha-jin until later. Knowing the truth, Ha-jin was very angry. She immediately scolded Sunghyun before leaving. On this side, Ho-soo knew that Ha-jin was pretending to be Ha-jae. On the day Ha-jin got drunk and slept at his house, she told the truth about her identity in a daze. He sat next to her to look at the face of the person he liked for a long time. At this time, Ho-soo returned and saw Ha-jin. On the way back, seeing Ha-jin limping because of her high heels, Ho-soo offered to carry her. Ha-jin wondered why he acted like he didn't know anything about Junggu's story. It was obvious from the beginning that Ho-soo knew that Junggu and Ha-jin didn't love each other, so why didn't he do anything? She wondered if Ho-soo didn't feel it was unfair that he kept a secret that wasn't his. Ho-soo replied that he couldn't comfort them or solve their problems, but he could keep a secret. Even though Ho-soo knew that the person on his back was really Ha-jin, he pretended not to know because he was the type to always stay silent and wait for others to speak up. On this side, Sejin's farm was hit by a storm, and he felt helpless because he couldn't do anything at the moment. At that moment, he heard Ha-jae calling. She then helped him clean up everything. A while later, the road home was flooded, so Ha-jae couldn't go home, and she had to stay at Sejin's house. Sejin wondered and asked Ha-jae why she came here. Ha-jae replied that her friend said she could take Ha-jae anywhere Ha-jae wanted, but Ha-jae could only think of this place because the other places were fake and only this place was real. Ha-jae wasn't worried about the rumors out there because she had no reason to like Sejin. But in contrast to Ha-jae, Sejin was afraid of the rumors because he really liked her. Hearing that made Ha-jae surprised. Ha-jae accidentally drops the farm owner's documents. Only then does she know that his real name is Han Se-jin, a very famous person who used to work at Sihun Asset Management Company. She once read a novel based on the bio company acquisition. Se-jin was the one behind the deal. He is surprised to know that Ha-jae is also interested in activist funds. She reveals that she once wrote a thesis on active shareholders. Se-jin wonders if a high school student has to write a thesis. Ha-jae doesn't know how to explain because she forgot that she was playing Ha-jin's role. The next day, Ho-soo goes to Ha-jin's company because he has an appointment with them. Rosa had previously told him to refuse to sell her bar, no matter what favorable deal the company offers. Ho-soo is surprised to know that the person who wants to meet him is the senior Chung-koo. Chung-koo knows that Ho-soo once received a scholarship from Rosa. Furthermore, Chung-koo also knows that Ho-soo is Ha-jae's friend. Chung-koo wants to know whose side Ho-soo will take. Ho-soo refuses all the company's offers. Chung-koo advises Ho-soo to think carefully before making a decision, because doing so, Ho-soo will not be able to help Rosa or Ha-jae. Chung-koo shows that he knows very well the problem Ha-jae is facing at work. Chung-koo admits that he is trying to fix it so that everything is beneficial to her. Chung-koo blames Ho-soo for ruining everything. Chung-koo advises Ho-soo to convince Rosa to agree to sell the bar. When going outside, Ho-soo accidentally meets Ha-jin. Ho-soo remembers what Chung-koo just said. Ho-soo really wants to know what Ha-jae has encountered at the company and why she sued the department head for harassment. But after seeing Ho-soo appear, Ha-jae quietly withdrew her application. Ha-jae asked Ho-soo if he was busy next week because she planned to let him meet Ha-jin. After hearing that, Ho-soo almost choked on his coffee because the real Ha-jin was sitting next to him. Ha-jin said that her younger sister would be coming to Seoul next week. Seeing that he said she was his first love, Ha-jae thought that the two of them should talk to each other, and it seemed like she had something to tell him too. Then, Ha-jin went to the meeting place with Ji-jun because she had something to say. While Ha-jin was waiting for his friend, a woman suddenly appeared. The woman thought that Ha-jin was Ha-jae, so she criticized harshly. The woman said that Ha-jae must be very shameless to continue working at that company. She also said that she thought about Ha-jae every day. She said that she was Sang-young's wife. She also asked Ha-jae to disappear before he came back. While Ha-jin was clueless, Ji-jun appeared. Ji-jun advised the woman to go find Ha-jae and vent her anger because Ji-jun knew that the person next to her was Ha-jin and not Ha-jae. Ji-jun then pulled Ha-jin to another table. Ji-jun blamed Ha-jin for sitting there and listening to her scolding. Ji-jun also thought that Ha-jin was imitating her sister. Ji-jun had previously known about Ha-jin's identity after many conversations. The Ha-jae that Ji-jun knew would never do what she said. As for the person sitting in front of her, who would always do the opposite, Ha-jin asked Ji-jun about the woman earlier, Ha-jin knew that she was the wife of department head Sang-yo. Ji-jun didn't know the details of what Ha-jae had encountered, but there were rumors that Ha-jae had an affair with the department head and that his wife had yelled at Ha-jae in the company lobby, causing the rumors to spread. Ji-jun didn't believe it at first, but everyone in the company was always gossiping. Moreover, Ha-jae's photo was spread everywhere. Even though she heard it, Ha-jin didn't believe that her sister was having an affair with a married man. The next day, Ho-soo suddenly returned to his hometown to see Ha-jae. He wanted to know the truth behind Sang-young's harassment. At the same time, Kyung-soon went to the school clean up after the storm the day before. During the conversation, she revealed that Ho-soo had returned. Ho-soo's mother was surprised because he hadn't told her anything about this. Kyung-soon said that Ho-soo had come to her house. Ho-soo had something to say to Ha-jin. Ho-soo's mother was even more confused because Ho-soo and Ha-jin weren't close. A nearby woman joked that Ho-soo's mother and Kyung-soon could become in-laws, but Kyung-soon said that she didn't need a son-in-law who needed servants. After hearing this, Ho-soo's mother immediately ran after Kyung-soon to talk, and then the two got into a fight. On this side, Ho-soo admitted that he knew that Ha-jin and Ha-jae had switched. Ho-soo guessed it after he met Ha-jae last time. Ho-soo came here because of the matter of Chief Sang-young. Ho-soo wanted to know why Ha-jae filed a harassment complaint, but she suddenly withdrew it. Why did Ha-jae suddenly disappear after Ho-soo took on the case? Ho-soo thought that things were more complicated because he wanted to help Ha-jae to make up for his mistakes. However, she still refused to tell the truth. At that moment, the two received a call from the hospital. The other end of the line reported that Ho-soo and Ha-jae's mother had just fallen down the stairs. When the two arrived, Kyung-soon said that it was Ho-soo's mother who pushed her down. Ho-soo's mother told Kyung-soon not to make a big deal out of a few stitches because she also had to get nails in her hands. The two kept blaming each other without giving in. At this time in Seoul, Ha-jin received the news, so she immediately went to the hospital. Ho-soo asked Ha-jae to hide the fact that he knew about their identities. Here, Ha-jae wanted Ha-jin to change positions with her. Ha-jae also revealed to Ha-jin that Ho-soo knew everything. Ha-jin felt extremely embarrassed to see Ho-soo again. Ha-jin felt even more embarrassed when she remembered what she had said to Ho-soo this morning. The next day, he was standing in front of the gate waiting for Ha-jin early. At this time, Ha-jae came out, so he wanted to continue talking about yesterday, but she said later. Ha-jae also admitted that she had told Ha-jin that he knew about the two switching identities. After Ha-jae left, Ha-jin also came out and saw Ho-soo. She was startled to see him. Ha-jin still felt very embarrassed, so she found every reason to avoid Ho-soo. At the same time, Ha-jae also went to see Se-jin. She asked him why he quit his job at the company in the first place. Ha-jae wanted to know today, not tomorrow, like he had promised the day before. Then Se-jin told her everything. One day the company had a meeting. Se-jin received a phone call from his grandfather. His grandfather had never called him before. Because this meeting was very important, even though his grandfather called him many times, he turned off his phone. But Se-jin didn't know that it was the last phone call he received from his grandfather. His grandfather had passed away from heat stroke in the middle of this farm. After his grandfather passed away, Se-jin felt something was falling apart. He stopped eating and drinking and stopped going to work. That was the reason why Se-jin suddenly quit his job. Ha-jae wondered why he only told her tomorrow. Se-jin said that tomorrow was his grandfather's birthday, and he wanted to share this story on a special occasion. In another development, after investigating Rosa, Chung-koo gets some important information. She grew up in an orphanage and has no relatives except for an only son. It is said that her husband was murdered by an acquaintance of Rosa. The defendant was a woman who lived with her at the orphanage. But strangely, Rosa testified, so her sentence was reduced. Her name is Sang-won, and she died. At the same time, Ho-soo goes to Ha-jae. Here she admits that she ran away when she saw him because she was thinking about her family. Ha-jae doesn't want people to know about her and wants to handle it herself. Ho-soo tells her that if she is not comfortable with him, he can introduce her to another lawyer. She thanks him for that. But now Ha-jae doesn't know what to ask Ho-soo for help. She decides to go back to her place to see what she needs. Then she will let him know later. On this side, Ha-jin meets her ex-boyfriend again. He also said that he knew her true identity. As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them jumped up happily because they were always comfortable when they were together. Ha-jin told him about her meeting Ho-soo again in Seoul. Seeing Ha-jin excitedly talking about Ho-soo, he knew that the two of them had feelings for each other. Ha-jin's ex-boyfriend wanted to know if Ha-jin liked Ho-soo since high school or in Seoul. Ha-jin said that she had just found out that she was Ho-soo's first love. Ha-jin recalled the memories of that year with Ho-soo. When she locked herself in her room, Ha-jae knocked on the door and told Ha-jin that Ho-soo was going to Seoul to study at university. Because Ha-jin refused to open the door, Ha-jae left the notebook that Ho-soo left outside. A moment later, Ha-jin quietly opened the door and looked at the notebook. Inside was a message from Ho-soo. He said he would wait for her in front of the house tonight. That same night, Ha-jin went outside to meet Ho-soo because she didn't want to miss it. He wanted to clarify again if this was Ha-jin. She She felt uncomfortable, so she said it didn't matter. Ha-jin asked Ho-soo why he gave her the notebook. He replied that it was a list of places they had planned to go together. They would visit these places together when they went to Seoul. Ha-jin was upset because she thought he was teasing her. Obviously, Ha-jin couldn't go to Seoul right now because her ankle was injured and her life was the same. Ho-soo didn't think so, and he believed that Ha-jin would get well soon. But for her, everything was over. Ha-jin threw the notebook to Ho-soo and walked into the house without saying goodbye. Thinking about that night made Ha-jin remember it forever. Ha-jin wondered why Ho-soo asked her if she was really Ha-jin, because the Ha-jin he liked was a cheerful and smiling runner. That person of Ha-jin had disappeared, so Ho-soo couldn't recognize her anymore. So Ha-jin thought that Ho-soo's first love was Ha-jin back then, not the current her. But Ha-jin's ex-boyfriend said that it didn't matter. If Ha-jin really liked Ho-soo, she should be brave enough to confess. But how could Ha-jin do that? Because right now Ha-jin couldn't even look Ho-soo in the eye. Ha-jin felt embarrassed about switching with her sister. That night, Ha-jin's ex-boyfriend went to Ho-soo and asked Ho-soo why he didn't confess to Ha-jin. It was obvious that he had liked her for a long time. Ho-soo revealed that it wasn't the right time, because right when he was most determined, she fell into a bad situation. This time, Ho-soo wanted to do it properly when nothing could stop him, but now Ha-jin was not comfortable being around him. Ha-jin's ex-boyfriend urged Ho-soo to quickly confess his love. Otherwise, Ho-soo would regret it later, because according to him, there was no such thing as the perfect time. At the same time, Ha-jae went to see her sister because she wanted to postpone the exchange identity schedule for a few more days. Ha-jae wanted to finish everything here, and then she would return to Seoul. She wondered about a few things, so she mentioned that she had promised to write a resignation letter when she was ready to return. But Ha-jae admitted that she had never intended to do so because she was very afraid of quitting. Ha-jae thought she was just an ordinary person and that she got into that company by luck. Although her mother and younger sister praised Ha-jae for being talented, she thought that she was only good at enduring because compared to her efforts, her results were below average. Ha-jae was afraid that if she quit, she would not find a better place, so she wrote a resignation letter a long time ago. But Ha-jae thought she wouldn't submit it. That night, Ho-soo decided to meet Ha-jin. There he called her by her real name. Ho-soo admitted that he always thought about that day. The day before he went to Seoul, he waited for her there. At that time, Ho-soo had something to say, but he couldn't say it when she came out. Before, when Ho-soo was tired, Ha-jin would always come to him, even though he was mean. He also wanted to do the same for her. But when he saw Ha-jin struggling with her injury, Ho-soo lost his courage. He admitted that he didn't have the ability to heal like her. Ho-soo thought that he would only make her more heartbroken. On the days when he went to attend his father's death anniversary, he was satisfied just by seeing her. Then he slowly walked towards her and held her hand. Ho-soo said that he had been waiting to tell Ha-jin this. When Ho-soo became a better person, he wanted Ha-jin to know that he had liked her for a long time and that his feelings were bigger than she had ever thought. It turned out that Ho-soo's mother was just his stepmother. On the day of the accident, Ho-soo's whole family went to visit his biological mother's grave. He didn't want his stepmother to go with him, so he complained loudly to his father. His stepmother understood Ho-soo's feelings, so she made an excuse that she had something to do at school and couldn't go with them. And then, something bad happened and took away Ho-soo's father. The day Ho-soo woke up, his stepmother was extremely emotional and burst into tears. Even though her family tried to stop her, she still insisted on raising Ho-soo to adulthood. No matter who asked, she claimed to be his biological mother. From that moment on, Ho-soo always tried not to be a burden to his stepmother. He removed his hearing aid like a normal person. Ho-soo always tried to act like he was fine. Back to reality, Ha-jin felt very happy when Ho-soo said he loved her. This was something she had always expected from him. The next day, Chung-koo suddenly came to Rosa's restaurant. She knew that someone from the company came to negotiate, so she didn't want to see him. But when Chung-koo mentioned Sang-won, Rosa was a bit surprised. At the same time, Ho-soo had just arrived in Seoul. Ho-soo saw that Ha-jin had already arrived to pick him up. She always wondered if this was a date. Ha-jin wanted to ask Ho-soo directly, but she was too shy to say anything. Right after that, the two returned to Ho-soo's house. Here, Ha-jin wondered when Ho-soo knew the truth. Ho-soo admitted that he had known from the beginning that it was Ha-jin, but Ho-soo still found it absurd. At that time, Ho-soo did not know if Ha-jae had changed or if he himself had changed. But when Ha-jin got drunk and slept at Ho-soo's place, he was sure of everything. Seeing the old notebook that Ho-soo still kept made Ha-jin surprised. In it were the places the two had promised to go together when they were in Seoul. They immediately set out to fulfill that promise. It took Ha-jin and Ho-soo more than 10 years to do this. However, Ha-jin did not feel very interested because these places were too old. It was a wish from more than 10 years ago, but now her feelings are different. Understanding that mentality, Ho-soo wanted to buy a newer guidebook. While buying the book, the two met Ho-soo's old colleague. A girl who was with her asked him about the person next to him. While Ha-jin admitted that the two were just friends, Ho-soo insisted that she was his girlfriend. They asked Ha-jin what what she did for a living, and she answered that she worked for a state-owned company. Ha-jin still played the role of Ha-jae, and this made Ho-soo unhappy. Ho-soo then asked Ha-jin why she pretended to be Ha-jae. Ha-jin said she didn't want him to be in a difficult situation, because Ha-jin couldn't say that she was unemployed when she was Ho-soo's girlfriend. But that didn't matter to him. Ho-soo didn't want everyone to lie to him like that. He felt disappointed and wanted to go back. The next day, Ha-jin went to the company. She thought a lot about the sudden call from the department head last night. Ha-jin wanted to get out of this new project before he returned. She went to see the team leader to ask to leave the project. Just then, department head Sang-young suddenly appeared there. Looking at his face, Ha-jin couldn't help but be surprised, because he really resembles her late father. Ha-jae once asked Ha-jin how she would feel if she met someone who looked exactly like her father. At that time, Ha-jin innocently said that she would be very surprised, but then very happy. Then she would want to talk to that person and spend time with that person. Now Ha-jin seemed to understand everything. It seemed that Ha-jae saw that he looked a lot like her father, so she approached him more. But then Sang-young caused Ha-jae great disappointment. On this side, Ho-soo came to Rosa's shop, but she ignored him. She remembered the conversation with Chung-koo the day before. At that time, Chung-koo revealed that Ho-soo was his favorite junior. Thinking about this, Rosa no longer trusted Ho-soo. At the same time, Sang-young made an appointment to meet Ha-jin to talk privately. Sang-young was surprised when he knew that Ha-jin volunteered for the new headquarters project. Sang-young also participated in this project, so he wanted one of the two to withdraw to avoid gossip. Sang-young took the initiative to withdraw to leave it to Ha-jin because she had worked very hard in the past. If Ha-jin withdrew, he would also be willing to help her with the remaining work. Ha-jin wondered why he was helping her. Sang-young said that she had said before that he was very similar to her late father. Because he saw that Ha-jae still missed her father very much, she always trusted and relied on him. However, Sang-young felt that he had betrayed her expectations, so he felt very guilty. After hearing that, Ha-jin suddenly asked to withdraw first, but in return, Sang-young had to make sure that she would not be punished in any way. He agreed to that. Then Sang-young took out a gift for Ha-jin. This was a gift that his daughter had helped him choose. Coincidentally, Sang-young's daughter was also named Ha-jae. When Ha-jin returned home, she called Ha-jae to ask if he were ready to go back. Ha-jin also said that she had met Sang-young. Ha-jae angrily said that she didn't care what he said or what the rumors said, but what Ha-jin wanted to know was Ha-jae's side of the story. Ha-jin blamed Ha-jae for not telling her the truth. Ha-jae said that no one would believe her. She felt hopeless, as if she were standing in front of a pack of wolves. As for Ha-jae, she was no different from an idiot. That night, Ho-soo went to the company to wait for Ha-jin. There, she admitted that she had lied the day before because she felt ashamed. Ha-jin thought that if he had said that they were just friends, she wouldn't have lied. But because she was Ho-soo's girlfriend, she couldn't say that she was unemployed. Ho-soo also admitted that he was sick at time, not blaming her for lying. That's why he wanted to leave early. Right after that, Ho-soo took out a new travel guidebook. He really wanted to go with her to visit those places. Then the two of them gave each other a loving hug. When Ha-jin got home, she saw her colleague Kim Tae waiting for her. He suddenly said that he was Soo-yeon's younger brother. Soo-yeon was Ha-jae's predecessor, who was bullied by everyone and quit job. Director Choi knew that Ha-jae had a very similar twin sister, so he suspected that the person working here was not Ha-jae, so he wanted to check. Sang-young started to lead Ha-jin to the data processing room. Sang-young and Director Choi asked Ha-jin to scan his fingerprint to get inside. Facing this challenge, Ha-jin was a bit panicked. Then Ha-jin slowly went to scan the fingerprint. Surprisingly, it was confirmed that it was Ha-jae's. This made Director Choi no longer doubt. It turned out that Ha-jae had secretly gone to the city last night. When Ha-jae entered the house, she saw Kim Tae inside. Ha-jin also said that Kim Tae was Soo-yeon's younger brother. He went to the company to collect evidence for his older sister. Kim Tae had enough evidence, so he wanted to report the people who had harmed his sister. He needed an insider like Ha-jae to come forward and report it. However, she did not agree. Ha-jae did not want her to be dragged into this. She knew that even if she stood up, she would not be able to win against them. Ha-jae advised Ha-jin that you stop interfering in my sister's life and take care of yourself. From now on, Ha-jae wanted to return to her position. That was the reason why Ha-jae was at the company today. On this side, Ha-jin went to Rosa to say goodbye. Here, Ha-jin revealed to Rosa that she had withdrawn from the new headquarters project, so she should slowly decide whether to sell this pub or not. Rosa wondered why Ha-jin came to say goodbye to her. Ha-jin couldn't tell the truth, so she said that it was not easy for her to come here to visit Rosa anymore. So Ha-jin wanted to say goodbye to Rosa one last time. After listening, Rosa also told Ha-jin that she had a son. He had been living in the hospital for a long time because he was mentally unstable. She needed someone to take care of her son if something happened to her. If Ha-jin agreed, Rosa would pay her to be his guardian. After switching identities, Ha-jin wanted to go back home, but Ho-soo wanted her to stay here with him. Although she was very shy, Ha-jin had no other choice. She couldn't go back to her sister's house after the two of them had argued argued yesterday. Standing in front of the person he liked, Ho-soo couldn't hold back. He took the initiative to give Ha-jin a sweet kiss followed by passionate kisses between the two. The next day, Ha-jae went to the company. The team leader asked her about the forum post. Ha-jae didn't know what the post was because she didn't write it. Ha-jae looked at the forum again and saw a post accusing the company of favoring Sehun Construction Company. The post was immediately deleted by the forum administrator. Ha-jae looked at Kim Tae because she knew he was the one who posted it. Ha-jae immediately asked Kim Tae about this. He said that because she didn't want to participate, he acted on his own. Ha-jae didn't think it was a good thing for him to do so. She didn't believe that Kim Tae could fight company like this alone. Ha-jae advised him to stop before he was sued. She also didn't want to be misunderstood because everyone kept targeting her. Not long before, Sang-young was drunk so he couldn't drive home, so Ha-jae took the initiative to drive him home. Sitting in the car, she saw that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so she tried to fasten it for him. In his unconsciousness, he thought she had feelings for him. Sang-young tried to kiss her on the lips, but she screamed and got out of the car. He immediately ran after her to apologize. Sang-young always blamed himself for his actions at that time, and he even knelt down to beg her to forgive him. This made Ha-jae really confused. After a moment of hesitation, she agreed to let everything go. Ha-jae did so because he didn't want their relationship as colleagues to get worse. In the following days, Ha-jae deliberately ignored Sang-young. He felt uncomfortable, so he called her to talk. Sang-young advised Ha-jae not to do that in public. Ha-jae was stunned because Sang-young blamed her for making people think that she was seducing him. That same night, Ha-jae asked Sang-young why she was acting like that. He once again told her not to seduce him because he was married. Ha-jae was helpless with those words. Back in reality, Jung-koo went to Rosa to continue the negotiation. He revealed that he knew some secrets that she was trying to hide. Jung-koo advised Rosa to sell the shop before those secrets got out to others. One of them was that he knew that she had a son who was in a mental hospital. Rosa asked Jung-koo how he knew about that. He said that someone around her might have revealed the secret. A while later, Ha-jin came here. Ha-jin told Rosa that she was not Ha-jae, but Ha-jae's twin sister. Rosa didn't care about that now. Rosa only remembered what Jung-koo had just said, so she thought that Ha-jin was his spy. Rosa angrily asked if that lawyer told her to come here to get information. How could he know where her son was if Ha-jin didn't tell him? Ha-jin kept denying it, but Rosa wouldn't listen and sent Ha-jin away, and from now on, they didn't know each other. At the company, Kim Tae gave Ha-jae a USB. Inside was the evidence he had collected to sue the company. Whether or not to use it was Ha-jae's decision. Holding the USB, Ha-jae remembered what had happened. After the incident with Sang-young, everyone in the company was gossiping about their relationship. This news also reached his wife. She immediately slapped Ha-jae and scolded Ha-jae for seducing someone else's husband. At that time, Ha-jae could only endure it and couldn't fight back. Not long after that, Ha-jae decided to sue Sang-young for harassment, but no one stood by her. His lawyer kept attacking her. They wanted to know why she didn't report it right away when it happened. Why did she still buy coffee for the person who harassed her? Faced with those questions, Ha-jae knew that she would never win against them alone. The next day, Ha-jin decided to return home. She felt that this was where she truly belonged. Ha-jin went to Se-jin's farm to work. At first glance, he knew that the person standing in front of him was not Ha-jae. Ha-jin admitted that, and from now on she would replace her sister to work here. Se-jin didn't object because she was the one he hired before. Kyung-soon just found out that Ha-jae and Ha-jin had switched places recently, so she wanted to know why they did that and what was going on with Ha-jae. Ha-jin said that Ha-jae was fine, everything was over. Ha-jin blamed her mother for not asking about her but always asking about her sister. She thought she should stay in Seoul instead of coming back here to listen to her mother's complaints. But because her mother was alone, Ha-jin came back. Kyung-soon tearfully asked why Ha-jin was worried about such things. Although Kyung-soon had said many times that Ha-jin could do whatever Ha-jin wanted, why did Ha-jin keep trying to live like her? Kyung-soon blamed Ha-jin for always turning her into a bad mother. Ha-jin immediately apologized for accidentally hurting her mother. Meanwhile, Kyung-soon told Ha-jin to go to the places she liked and not worry about staying here. That night, Kim Tae went to see Ha-jae again. He revealed to her that his older sister had not left her room for more than half a year. Right after that, he took Ha-jae to see his older sister. Ha-jae knocked on the door, but Soo-yeon still refused to open it. Ha-jae stood outside and advised Soo-yeon that since she had left, she should forget everything and move on. Ha-jae came here to say that she could not help Soo-yeon because she thought they could not win this war. Ha-jae admitted that she could not take care of herself, so how could she think about punishing others? Ha-jae hoped that Soo-yeon would understand her. Ha-jae saw that Kim Tae had worked very hard, and she felt that she was ruining everything. Ha-jae was truly sorry for that, but Soo-yeon thought that she was the one who ruined everything. Soo-yeon then apologized apologized to Ha-jae. Soo-yeon thought that she had run away alone and left Ha-jae behind. She felt ashamed of this. Soo-yeon always blamed herself when she did nothing wrong. When she went outside, Ha-jae unexpectedly ran into Sang-young. He advised her to temporarily transfer to the branch in Childun to work. She withdrew from the new headquarters project without notice, so the superiors will not forgive her. Ha-jae wondered because he had promised to take care of everything if she withdrew. Sang-young explained that it was before the post appeared. Ha-jae kept insisting that she did not post it, but he did not believe her. Even in the company, no one believed her. Sang-young advised Ha-jae not to try to follow Soo-yeon because she alone would not win and would only hurt her. Sang-young discovered that Ha-jae had been secretly recording the conversation. He immediately snatched the phone from her hand. Sang-young advised Ha-jae to stop because no one believed her. This was not a truth game, but a battle for reputation. No matter what Ha-jae did, she would be blamed for everything. Just then Ha-jin suddenly appeared. Ha-jin angrily walked up and beat him up. Ha-jae stood by the side, cheering for Ha-jin to hit hard. On the other side, Rosa called Chung-koo and decided that she would not sell the bar no matter what he did. Chung-koo immediately called a journalist. He wanted the newspaper to publish an article about a woman who took her friend's life tomorrow. The next day, Sang-young announced to everyone that he would be transferring to the Childon branch. Ha-jae could not transfer because she had just sued the department head for harassing her. Everyone wondered why he would transfer since he had done nothing wrong. He said that life was unfair to him. Kim Tae was happy when he heard about this because Ha-jae had come forward to report it. Meanwhile, at the bar, because Rosa was illiterate, she asked a man to read today's newspaper article. She was curious but contained a photo of the poem Sang-won. The content of the article exposed the famous poet Rosa, a poet loved for her warm love poems. She was suspected of being an imposter, living under the name of a deceased poet. Hearing this, she didn't want him to read any further. Then Rosa thought it was nothing special. Not long after that, she received a call from the district attorney's office inspector. They wanted her to come in for questioning because of criminal charges. Hearing this, Rosa hung up. Ho-soo and Ha-jin were shocked when they read the article about Rosa. Not only that, there was also a news report accusing her. They thought that after the woman filled out the death certificate, she took over the identity of the poet Rosa. She also put her friend's son in a mental hospital and lived under the name Rosa for the past 30 years. She had taken the real Rosa's savings, royalties from her best-selling poetry collection, and even the bar. Ho-soo and Ha-jin immediately went to Rosa. The two people outside called her, but she refused to answer. On this side, Ha-jae made an appointment to meet with a lawyer to talk about suing Sang-young. The female lawyer advised Ha-jae to take a leave of absence until the investigation was over, but Ha-jae didn't want that. If she took a leave of absence now, they would think she was hiding. If she kept quiet and disappeared, people wouldn't believe her. At the same time, Ha-jin went to Rosa's shop and picked up a letter in the trash. It was a letter from the district prosecutor's office. Ho-soo advised Ha-jin to put it back where it was. Even if Rosa threw it away, she shouldn't take it because it would be an invasion of privacy. Moreover, Rosa didn't ask for their help, and the two of them didn't know exactly what was going on. But Ha-jin still wanted to see the letter because she thought Rosa was in trouble. So Ha-jin couldn't just leave her like that. After reading the letter, Ho-soo knew that the prosecutor who was investigating was Ye-ong. Ho-soo immediately went to Chung-koo. Ho-soo knew that Chung-koo was behind everything because prosecutor Ye-ong was Chung-koo's best friend. Ho-soo criticized Chung-koo for targeting someone like Rosa who had no family or friends, but Chung-koo said that he did nothing wrong. He was just exposing Rosa's wrongdoings. Chung-koo also advised Ho-soo to call her by her correct name. She was Sang-won, not Rosa. Ho-soo immediately called Ha-jin to reveal that Ha-jae's company was behind this. They wanted to stir up a scandal because of her bar, so they could buy the bar through a guardian they set up. Hearing about the guardian, Ha-jin immediately knew where Sang-won was. At the hospital, Sang-won wanted to pay Rosa's son's hospital bills a few months in advance, but they didn't accept it because they knew she wasn't the patient's mother. Ha-jin was there at that moment and stood up to defend her, but the hospital didn't accept it. When they went outside, Ha-jin criticized Sang-won for standing still like that. She hadn't done anything wrong, but Sang-won thought that was who she really was. She admitted that she wasn't Rosa. Sang-won thought that when an uneducated orphan killed someone, this was what he got. She admitted that what the press said was the truth. When they returned home, Ho-soo wanted Sang-won to tell him the whole story. He wanted to hear the truth from her perspective. Only then could he help her. Sang-won and Rosa were very close friends before, but they were very different. Rosa was a local prodigy, and Sang-won couldn't read. Sang-won finished elementary school, but for some reason she couldn't read, so she just did manual labor. But one day she encountered an unfair situation. Rosa stood up to protect her. Rosa's first poem was also under Sang-won's name. The two were so close that they considered each other as twin sisters. After leaving the orphanage, the two lived together. That time was beautiful for Sang-won because it was just just the two of them, until Rosa's boyfriend appeared. At that time, Sang-won felt like an outsider, so she left home that night. Rosa begged Sang-won not to leave, but she couldn't stop her. After that, Sang-won applied to work as a waiter at a restaurant. Sang-won couldn't help himself, so he called Rosa one time, but the owner said that Rosa had moved away after getting married. Sometime later, Sang-won had to go to Seoul. Here she accidentally met Rosa again. At that time, Rosa looked very pitiful with a small child on her back. Only then did Sang-won know that Rosa was being abused by her husband. At that time, Sang-won could not report to the police because no one believed a woman without a family, so Rosa suffered alone without anyone to help. After that, Sang-won took Rosa and her son and ran away. They had a good time, but then misfortune struck again. That bad husband came to Rosa. He did not hesitate to attack his wife. Sang-won saw that and tried to stop him, but she was also beaten mercilessly. At that time, Rosa suddenly stabbed him. To save her friend, Sang-won jumped in and beat him again. Sang-won wanted to go to jail instead of Rosa because Rosa still had a small child. When Sang-won was in jail, Rosa suffered even more. People judged her because she sided with the person who killed her husband. Rosa sold her poems at a cheap price just to survive. Sometime later, Sang-won was released from prison. She applied for jobs everywhere, but no one accepted her because the rumors spread far and wide. At that time, Rosa suggested that the two of them go to Seoul because no one would know them there, and the two of them could start over. From that moment on, Sang-won started using Rosa's name because her name had a criminal record. So from household registration to opening a bank account, everything was done under Rosa's name. After a few years of struggling to make a living, the two of them saved enough money to buy a cheap two-story house. The upper floor was for living, and the lower floor would be used to open a restaurant. But life was once again unfair to the two of them. Rosa suddenly got cancer. She knew she didn't have much time left, so she decided to send her disabled son to a mental hospital. Rosa also gave Sang-won the death notice first. She wanted the two of them to switch identities, and Sang-won would live under the name Rosa. Sang-won was forced to do so because it was a way to keep Rosa's son from her husband's family. If they found out about Rosa's death, they would fight for custody, not to take care of him, but to get disability benefits. Sang-won gave Ho-soo the things Rosa left behind. Because she was illiterate, she didn't know what was written inside. Ho-soo returned home and opened it. Inside was a poetry publishing agreement and a property donation document, along with a letter from Rosa saying that if you read this letter, it means Sang-won has found someone to trust. Rosa really hoped that the person reading the letter was a kind person. Sang-won had a kind and foolish heart. Sang-won accepted all the bad things so that Rosa could enjoy the good things. All of Sang-won's kindness was in the name Rosa. The best things deserved to belong to Sang-won. After reading the letter, Ho-soo immediately went to Sang-won. He was sure that these things would solve everything. Ho-soo had already planned it out in his mind. Ho-soo wanted Sang-won to admit to identity theft, but the assets would be given to her as mentioned in the will, so it couldn't be said that Sang-won profited from identity theft. As for the royalties earned from the poems, they were donated to the deceased's alma mater. Sang-won did so through the Kim Rosa Scholarship. Not long after, Sang-won's prosecution was deferred. Sang-won and Ha-jin were very happy to hear this news. Sang-won recalled the last moment with Rosa. She cried until her tears ran out as she was about to leave someone who could be called her sister. But Rosa told Sang-won not to be too sad because she would meet better people than Rosa, and that person was Ho-soo and Ha-jin at the present time. The next day, Ha-jin went to Sang-won's shop alone. Sang-won asked Ha-jin where Ho-soo was, and she said that an acquaintance had just passed away, so he went back to his hometown. Sang-won was curious if Ho-soo was close to that person, but Ha-jin didn't know. Ha-jin saw that Ho-soo didn't seem very calm when he heard the news over the phone. Ha-jin returned home and Ho-soo was suddenly there. He said that because he finished the ceremony early, he went to Seoul early. Ha-jin was about to enter the house, but Ho-soo suddenly stopped him. He made an excuse that he was a bit tired today, so he didn't want to be near her. Then Ho-soo locked the door without any hesitation. He collapsed when one of his ears started to hurt again. It turned out that he had gone to the hospital for a checkup before. The doctor informed him that his condition was not very good. His hearing had decreased at all frequencies, so it would be difficult for him to fully recover. The doctor advised Ho-soo to continue with outpatient treatment and monitor his progress. If his condition worsens, he might consider wearing a hearing aid or a cochlear implant. Ho-soo was stunned when he heard those words. All he could do now was take his medicine and pray that things wouldn't get worse. That was why he didn't want to see Ha-jin at the moment. Over there, the Fair Trade Commission arrested Sang-young. They wanted to investigate the violations of the Sihun Construction Company. The person who reported everything was none other than Ha-jae. Moreover, she also wanted to finish this case before she quit her job. Ho-soo unexpectedly made an appointment to meet Chung-koo to ask him for a favor? Ho-soo asked Chung-koo to take on Ha-jae's sexual harassment case. Chung-koo wondered why Ho-soo didn't handle it, but asked him. Ho-soo knew that Chung-koo was a capable person, someone who always wanted to win at all costs, someone who would make bullies miserable. So Ho-soo wanted Ha-jae to have a lawyer like Chung-koo. Ho-soo was sure that Chung-koo would agree to help him, because Ho-soo was a junior that Chung-koo always loved. Then Ho-soo went to Sang-won because he would not be able to see her for a while. He also revealed that he was having problems with his ears. Sang-won asked Ho-soo if Ha-jin knew about this. He shook his head. Because Ho-soo did not know how to make things better for Ha-jin, he did not say anything. Ho-soo also did not know if he should see Ha-jin again. He hoped that she would not tell Ha-jin about this. Ho-soo did not want to burden Ha-jin because he knew how hard it was to live with a sick person. On the way back, Ho-soo met Ha-jin. She asked him if he was still sick, but he shook his head. Then she became angry about yesterday's incident. Ho-soo sadly apologized for that. He had thought a lot about the two of them. Here, he suddenly wanted to break up. Ho-soo couldn't tell the truth, so he made an excuse that the two of them were too different. Ha-jin knew that wasn't the reason why Ho-soo decided to break up. She wanted him to tell her the truth. After a moment of hesitation, Ho-soo revealed that he had a problem with his other ear. Ho-soo had suddenly lost his hearing. He didn't know if it would recover or get worse, but even if it did, it wouldn't be the same as before. If he was unlucky enough to become completely deaf, then the two of them wouldn't be able to talk to each other like they do now. No matter what happened to Ho-soo, Ha-jin would never abandon him. Ha-jin also affirmed that she would do everything she could. She would learn sign language to talk to him every day. But that was why Ho-soo decided to break up. Ha-jin always gave in, so he didn't want to burden the person he loved. Ho-soo didn't want to see Ha-jin suffer because of him. He didn't want her to see him worse. Those feelings were worse than anything else for Ho-soo. After that, Ho-soo left, leaving Ha-jin alone. That was the best thing he could do for her at the moment. When he returned home, Ha-jin told her sister everything. Ha-jin had officially broken up with Ho-soo. Ha-jin cried all night. On this side, Ho-soo couldn't be better either. Ho-soo had even prepared a ring to propose to Ha-jin, but now he couldn't do it. Many years ago, his father told Ho-soo that one day he would make someone else suffer. There would be times when Ho-soo would force the person next to him to suffer. Love isn't about winning or losing. The most important thing is. Before his father could finish speaking, the accident happened. Until now, Ho-soo still doesn't know what his father was going to say. Ha-jae was also preparing to leave the company. When she entered the elevator, she ran into Director Choi. He was angry that Ha-jae had dragged the entire committee into this. Director Choi threatened that he wouldn't leave her alone. Even if she quit, he would make sure she would never enter this industry again. Ho-soo's mother suddenly received a call from the hospital in Seoul. The doctor asked her about Ho-soo. When they couldn't contact him, the doctor then revealed to her about Ho-soo's current condition. She immediately went to Seoul because she couldn't call her son. She even called the police to knock on the door. When she got inside, she blamed Ho-soo for not going to the hospital. Since she knew everything, she asked him to change his clothes quickly, and then they went to the hospital. Ho-soo said that he would go by himself, but she immediately objected, because she knew very well that Ho-soo had been living a dissolute life recently. He understood how hard his mother had worked to raise him. That was enough. So Ho-soo advised his mother not to worry about him. Ho-soo thought that he was not her biological son, so she did not need to bear this burden. She was really angry when she heard that. She had always treated Ho-soo as her own son. She had never resented Ho-soo for the death of her husband, or for Ho-soo's insistence on not letting her go with him that day. The first thing Ho-soo did when he woke up after the accident was to call his mother's name. How happy she was at that time. He was the reason she could continue living. If Ho-soo had let go at that time and not woke up, she would not know how she would have lived. So she advised him to never let go, even if the situation worsened. Right after that, she told Ho-soo very carefully what to do when he got to the hospital. She always treated Ho-soo as her little son. She also told Ho-soo a story that before his father and she got married, his father had broken up with her once. Ho-soo's father kept saying that he was making her suffer. If she stayed with him, she would suffer. She was so angry that she said that no one always wins, and one day he would suffer because of her. Love is not about winning or losing, but being together. Even if you lose 100 times, being with that person is love. Only then did Ho-soo know that those were the things his father wanted to tell him before they had the accident. The love between his father and mother was just like the love between him and Ha-jin at this moment. Meanwhile, Ha-jin was thinking a lot. She decided to go find Ho-soo. When she opened the door, he was already there. He hugged her tightly and apologized. Now Ho-soo just wanted to be with Ha-jin. Sang-won knew that Ha-jin couldn't find a job in Seoul, so she wanted Ha-jin to stay here and work with her. When she got too old, Ha-jin could take over this place. Although this offer was very attractive, Ha-jin asked to refuse because she had other plans. But if Ha-jin came back to apply for a job in the future. She hoped Sungwon would agree. Meanwhile, after Ha-jae quit her job, she wanted to open a strawberry farm like Se-jin. Until now, Kyung-soon couldn't stop her daughter. Then she agreed to let Ha-jae follow the path of farming. That night, while Ho-soo and Ha-jin were showing their affection for each other, Kyung-soon suddenly appeared. Ha-jin had to reveal to her mother that the two were in love. Kyung-soon didn't like Ho-soo very much, so she sent him away. Kyung-soon still couldn't believe that her daughter kissed a man in the street. Kyung-soon didn't want Ha-jin to love Ho-soo because she had just knew that Ho-soo was sick. Ho-soo's mother had told her everything. Ha-jin thought that his illness had nothing to do with the two of them dating, but Kyung-soon didn't think so. Ha-jin's mother was worried that if Ho-soo's mother knew that the two of them were dating, she would faint. Moreover, living with a sick person would be very difficult. Kyung-soon advised Ha-jin that if she wasn't ready, she shouldn't start it. Don't hurt people, or else she would suffer the consequences later. Kim Tae made an appointment to meet Ha-jae to tell him about what happened at the company. The press was making a big deal out of it, so everything ended faster than expected. The team leader was the first to be fired. Director Choi was transferred to work at the Cheadle branch. And the most important thing was that Kim Tae's sister was willing to leave the room. It was all thanks to Ha-jae. When he went outside, Ha-jae ran into Sang-young. He criticized her when she wanted to take him to civil court. He thought that quitting his job wasn't enough for her. Just then, Chung-koo showed up. He said that it was just part of the consequences, because Sang-young still had to pay for the damages he caused. Hearing this, he just left with a heavy heart. Ha-jae thanked Chung-koo for helping her with the lawsuit, but he said that he was just cleaning up the mess he caused. Then Ha-jae went to the airport to see Se-jin off to America. When he heard that she was coming, he immediately ran out to meet her. Se-jin was doing the paperwork. There, the two promised to contact each other, and then they hugged each other to say goodbye. Ha-jae also said that if he returned to Korea, she would always welcome him. On this side, Ha-jin went to the hospital to visit Ho-soo, who was being treated. While the two were talking, Ho-soo's mother suddenly showed up. Ha-jin immediately made up excuses as if it was just a coincidence that she met Ho-soo there. But Ho-soo revealed that his mother already knew everything about the two. Ho-soo's mother did not forbid the two. On the contrary, she really wanted someone to be by Ho-soo's side at this time. She also hoped that the two would bring lasting happiness to each other. When Ha-jin received a call from her mother about her grandmother's condition, she immediately took a taxi to the hospital to visit her grandmother. Her grandmother's condition was getting worse due to old age, so grandma might not be able to survive this treatment. Kyung-soon intended to take grandma home because that was what she wanted. Ha-jin then went to visit her grandmother. Grandma kept saying she wanted to go home. Ha-jin had no choice but to follow her grandmother's wish. The next day, everyone took grandmother home. Ha-jin was by grandma's side all day. Seeing grandmother like this reminded Ha-jin of the old story. She always waited for Ha-jae and Ha-jin to go to bed before she went to sleep. Here, Ha-jin revealed to Ha-jae that she intended to go to college. Ha-jin wanted to try it once, something she had never been able to do before. Ha-jae supported this, but Ha-jae advised Ha-jin to study like crazy to be able to go to college. The next day, Ha-jin woke up and couldn't find her grandmother anywhere. Ha-jin ran to look for grandma and was surprised to see that grandma looked very healthy. She was preparing everything to go out. She liked that feeling because she had been in bed for 10 years. Ha-jin cried and wouldn't let grandma go because she might leave, but grandma said that she would always come back. When Ha-jin was having a hard time, grandma would turn into a cloud or a bird to be by her side. Now Ha-jin would no longer need to go to the hospital because grandma would always be by her side. Grandma wanted to see Ha-jin's apartment in Seoul. She hadn't seen it because she was bedridden. She also wanted to see the university Ha-jin was about to attend. Then Ha-jin wore shoes for grandma, and grandma hugged her most beloved granddaughter tightly. Kyung-soon woke Ha-jin up because her grandmother had passed away. That dream was the last time Ha-jin could talk to her grandmother. Those were the things grandmother wanted to convey to Ha-jin. In the following days, Ho-soo started learning sign language to prevent his condition from getting worse. Ha-jae ran a strawberry farm. She also contacted him often to update him on the situation at the farm. Meanwhile, Ha-jin actively studied for the university entrance exam. Her efforts were rewarded when she officially entered university. Sometime later, Se-jin suddenly returned home without notice, and the first thing he did was to look for Ha-jae. She immediately smiled brightly when she saw him again. Meanwhile, Ho-soo and Ha-jin's love story was still going well. However, Ha-jin was not ready to get married. She wanted to start at the right time with a clear mind, or in other words, she wanted to finish university and then get married. For Ho-soo, waiting for someone like Ha-jin was not a problem. Because he loved her more, he had to wait for her. Ha-jin's life now could be said to be full of fulfillment. After what she had experienced, Ha-jin realized that life was not a book with an ending, but a notebook for her to fill in. If the next page was a blank page, it was not the end, but a new beginning. Ha-jin will continue writing until he has finished writing rewriting every page of his life. The movie ends here. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye and see you again.